How you doing, guys? Welcome to Debating Woes. I'm your host, Judge Dre. What we're going to do today, we're going to talk about women in the workforce. I'm going to go ahead right now, and I'm going to post a link in the description box. That way you guys can join if you would like to join the panel here. We're going to give everybody a minute or two to get together here, and we will see how we're going to do that. Let's see. I'm having trouble, y'all. Okay, the link is there, guys. If you want to join, you can join. But what today's topic is, we're talking about, the traditional family here in America. As women, joining the workforce, has that actually contributed to the deterioration of it? Now, in my opinion, I'd say, yeah, it actually has, because that's taking them more out of the home. And what are they doing now? They're doing the same thing we're doing, spending more time away from the family. You don't have that structure at home. And when you don't have that structure at home, kids are most likely, they're very influenced by what they see and what they're exposed to. And what 9 times out of 10, they're exposed to television. So we'll go ahead and move that over here. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to get everything going. And having a couple problems. You guys can hear me, right? Yeah. All right. There we go. Thank you, April. You say, okay, Zoo. Appreciate it. How you doing, Kim? How's it going? Before we really get into the topic, we'll give it a minute or two. Let everybody know the show is on. I need to actually start promoting the shows earlier so we can go right into the show without waiting on you. I did post a link for you, so if you guys want to join, you're welcome to join. Oh man, my face is breaking out bad. I tell you guys, don't never become addicted to too much damn soda. It's really bad for your skin, man. Tears your face up. I say, especially when you have eczema. That's one bad thing I'll say. I've actually heard that more than once, but no, I'll pass on that. Yeah, I do have eczema. I do have, but yeah. And I'm allergic to pop, but that doesn't stop me from drinking it. That's how you know a person is really addicted there. I drink way too much pop. I mean, God, dog, I hate to say something that almost part of my face almost looked like Michael Jackson. But no, I'm not gonna try the rub pee on it thing. No, I'm not gonna try that. But I've heard that too. They said that back in the day, that was one of the things that a lot of people did. They said, no, don't do that right there, because what is that? You rub pee on it. No, I'll pass. How you doing, Patrick?
What's up, man? Buzzed, belly full.
Oh man, what you drinking?
Some bourbon and scotch and some homemade Brazilian what do we call it back in the States? Moonshine.
Oh, okay. I said one thing. I said, God, dog, yeah, you can see my skin. That really does. It's not even peeling, but you can see my skin is light. I think what it is too, the new camera picks up better than the old camera. So you can really see. You know what I mean?
Oh, I did notice your camera is different.
Yeah, so it looks sharper to you guys?
Yeah, you got a new camera.
Yeah, I got it like about 2 days ago. But
Who'd you get? Logitech?
I can see the marks on my face. I don't like. Hate to say something. I don't like that because I said I've never been a person to take care of my skin. But I see if I'm gonna keep doing these shows, maybe I need to do that. Because wow, it looks like I almost look like Michael Jackson down here, don't
You said Michael Jackson.
I? Shit.
But yeah, that game was hype, man. I'm glad we got that medal. Melo was crying. And
Huh?
I'm glad we got that. I said I'm glad we got the medal, man. The U basketball won gold.
Oh,
That shit
okay.
was hype.
Yeah.
But now it's over. Now the ceremony, the ending, what you call it? The last day ceremony is going on now.
Mm-hmm.
That's all sports until football starts.
I can't. I really don't watch football. I'm waiting for basketball to come around. This is usually the busy time of year for my field because most people are getting their houses buttoned up for the winter. So that's usually mean more for me. You know what I mean? More work in my field.
Yeah.
Get your windows that you need replaced and all that. God, dog, man. I'm looking at it.
Guys, welcome to Judge Joe.
You said what?
Dang, you back already, Dre? I was about to host my show.
Oh, well, go ahead. You want something to say? Go right ahead. I'll let you.
I gotta wait
before we get into the topic. I always do like 10, 15 minutes of bullshit first.
All right. Today we have DNA tests via YouTube. We're gonna invite Laquana into the hangout, and we have TJ another hangout. We need a baby picture. If anybody could go to their Facebook and find a baby picture so we could put it in the middle so we can compare the noses. See, my show too broke, Dre. We can't do real DNA tests. We just gotta look at the nose and say who baby it is.
Look at this person right here and see.
Yeah, they do Mari, but look at his nose, Mari. Look at his nose. That's his nose. That's Dre nose.
But really, that don't really mean nothing because they did a study where they said that, when it comes to that crap, most of the time women like men who are similar. So, like, if she had a dude, if she say she had a baby by you, 9 times out of 10, if she was cheating on you, she's cheating on you with a dude that looked probably similar to you. So that doesn't do anything.
It's true. And I've seen that shit too many times. If she got a light-skinned boyfriend, little pretty boy dude, she probably got a light-skinned little pretty boy on the side. Like, that's how that shit goes.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, like my son, like you see him now, he got much darker as he's gotten older. But I mean, he was, real light. Like as my mother too. She was light as when I was younger, and she's getting darker as I've gotten older, and I've noticed that. But the reason why I had a blood test on him is because I knew she was messing around at that time, and I had never seen the other guy. If I would have seen the other guy, then I would have never had a blood test done. But once I saw him, I said, "Oh, okay." Because I figured I was sitting there thinking to myself, "Well, maybe he could resemble me,"
Yeah, I feel you.
Then once I saw him, I was like, "Oh shit, no, that's not it." But I figure here we got people in the chat. I guess they're scared to come on. I'll go ahead and post a link for you. I see everybody's still in the other hangout there, or maybe this topic doesn't interest them. So we'll just go ahead and go on and start the show without them. I want to thank you guys for coming to the show. Please like, share, subscribe, and definitely hit the donate button down there because that's what keeps the show going. What we're talking about, women in the workforce, and that contribute to the demise of the traditional family. We have Patrick here so far, so we're going to ask you, what do you think about that situation, Patrick?
Just about them being in the workforce in general, or the question of did it break up the family unit or whatnot?
Yeah.
About the family unit. I think women working is a byproduct in a way of the way the economy has gone.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really say that this hurt the family unit. I think it's helped the family unit, but with everything, there's pros and cons to it. We didn't adapt to it well. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. And what would we say the pros would be?
The pros, well, I think the situation was the economy changed to the point that a man couldn't like sustain a home and a family by himself like it used to be. You know, you could use it was a time where you could buy a car, like a decent car, for $1,200. You know what I'm saying? And that's that. Or you could go to work all day and come home and everything's paid for, and you have the weekends off, you know, and everything's dandy like that. It was a time that was like that. But I think when women had to contribute, it kept the family unit afloat in a sense, and it also kept the work ethic of kids who are around that. I mean, it taught a lot of things. It taught a lot of women how to be independent also, because I think when people talk about marriage, they talk about it like it's a, like George was saying, kind of like absolute, like, okay, get married and that's it. You have to stay married. But we know in America, most marriages don't last. Marriages don't last forever. So I think when women started working, in a sense, they started to build their own foundation in case something goes wrong or whatnot. They still had a job. They still had some type of knowledge of the workplace and how to move through jobs, you know, to get to where they need to be in case things don't work out. Because before, women only knew how to cook and clean. So if divorce happened, she was out here.
I'll say that, but I mean, as you say, I'll say with traditionally what it said token is this: is like with the marriages ending in divorce. I just think that we've come to a point in society to where, at first we'd say, oh, you know, you go ahead and get married, and you know it's for life. Where now we say when a person gets married, well, if you don't like it, get a divorce. Where divorce was like frowned upon as almost seen like as a failure. You know. That wow, you guys couldn't make it work, you know what I mean? To where now it's like with no fault divorces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people look at it as well, you upset me or whatever. And you know, people are more selfish now, where they want everything for them and nothing else. So what do? Oh, well, fine. If I'm not happy, I'm getting a divorce. Well, instead of saying, well, if I'm not getting, you're not giving me what I want a divorce.
Right.
To where before it was, we got to come to some type of agreement with each other. Divorce was really out of the question. We're going to live together for the rest of our life. If you have a different opinion here or this, that, and the other, we're going to come to a conclusion and see what both of us need to do to make each other happy. But I believe that's what's really done it more than anything.
Yeah.
You think it's facilitated divorces pretty much, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, I think the laws, too, have changed at that. And no offense, too, that's more media programming. Media has, you know, like, think about it. The kids that are now getting divorced so quickly, those were like one of the first generations to be in the where, mom and dad worked full-time jobs. So when mom and dad, you take mom out of the house where she's not really dictating too much of what a child has done, so they got too much free time. So that allows them to be brainwashed by the media.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I would say that when you ask the question that has women in the workplace been detrimental to the family unit, I don't think it's women working in the workplace. I think it's honestly people not adapting to it, because there's a lot of women who work. There's a lot of people who, like, for example, okay, let's talk about food, like feeding kids, for example. I always hear people like, we work, people can't cook every day. We work, we work. But it's like the adaption is like you can have a meal prep day on Sundays and whatnot. There's certain things you can have study time when you come home from work. Everybody is not getting home at 10, 11 o'clock at night from work as a mom, and especially if you have a dad in the house. Like, I think we didn't adapt to it the way we should have, because people were used to that traditional family unit. But the economy has changed so much in the last 100 years in America, or 50 years in America. People didn't adapt to it well. They tried to stick to traditional ways while having a non-traditional family. That's my point.
Right. Hello, Damon. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I agree with you, Patrick. I'm gonna throw that out there on the table, and I like to I say that because I think I'm in a non-traditional relationship myself, where my wife is a primary bread earner in the house, and that's by design. Because, and I mentioned this to another guy, and I don't believe he really understood what I meant by it, and I believe she just has a higher earning capacity. And I'm not trying to belittle myself or nothing like that, because I work hard, but she can make more money than me, so it would make more sense for her to take on more of that role, and then I take on what would have traditionally been seen as female roles, really, because it was what I brought to the table. Like, I can cook, so I cook, you know what I'm saying? Stuff
Right.
like that. So yeah, it is definitely, you have to adapt, because like my father was born in 1945 and I'm 38. I'm the youngest of six kids. So my dad is pretty old dude, so I'm sure you can imagine the traditional, things that he brought my way. Even though he didn't really run a traditional household himself, he was still influenced heavily by, like, the woman's role is a woman's role and the man's role is a man's role. And the approach that my wife and I take is everything is everybody's responsibility,
Yeah.
so there's no woman task and man task. It's just, we just got to make sure at the end of the day everything that needs to be taken care of has been taken care of, and we
Yeah.
try to do it as systematic as possible.
I feel you on that.
But I
Yeah.
think I think some take it as a strike at the male pride.
Yes.
It takes a
That's
very strong individual to do that because I will admit, due to my situation, when I was with my daughter's mother, she was the primary breadwinner. She made way more money than I did. I mean, I was the one who got up and got my daughter to school, this, that, and the other. I mean, I do admit I did a couple things for her because to me, it's like I was not a very good cook. So the reason why I was learning how to cook is because I told her, I said, it's bad that if you have to come home and you have to cook.
and cook. Yeah.
Right. And so
Hmm.
I was learning how to cook so that way she didn't have to cook every day because there's only a couple things I could cook decently, to where people weren't going to complain about the food. So,
Well, this
but
brings a peculiar question, Dre.
mhm,
Remember what we were talking about last night with feminism and whatnot. I don't like to use the word feminism because it has a negative connotation to it. But
mhm.
what if we were doing it wrong all along?
What do you
Like,
mean?
what if your
Right.
wife was able to be a good banker or whatnot in the in
Yes.
1920s? Why wasn't she in the bank being a good banker? Because people
Yeah.
were telling her she needed to stay home and cook because she had a vagina between her legs.
Yeah. We suppress a lot of talent.
That's true. I mean, if you have, I've never been a thing about a person couldn't get a job or whatever because they're, what kind of sexual orientation they are. If you're better at doing a job, you're fucking better at doing a job. I ain't even
Right.
gonna lie. The best when I've gone out to any places and I've had the best customer service, I'm not even gonna lie. Most of those people that I had best customer service for, that's like, especially the men, they were gay. I mean, like, especially like in the
Yeah.
hotel industry,
Yeah.
I mean, literally, the
It's
best
about a
ones
gay
are
dude.
them. I mean, they
Yeah.
very respectful and anything. I mean, you can tell they're, but it's true. They're very respectful.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not. I guess some people say, "Oh, well, maybe because they like you." No, it's just to me, it seems like they're just nicer, just in general.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they can't be mean, but you know what I mean. I've just noticed that your experiences. It seems like with them that I wish more of them worked at the DMV.
I feel you.
I
But it
personally
is.
feel that.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, April.
No, I've been talking. Go ahead.
Well, I personally feel that it has degraded the home and traditional family values for the simple fact that when that role was left open, no one stepped up to fill it until recently when it became okay for a man to stay at home. Until that point, there was children running around, and most of them still do. There's nobody home to correct the whip, make sure they get their homework done. There's no one home to make sure that they have a supper cooked or a belly full of food, and then they wonder why their 13-year-old comes home pregnant. There's no structure, and they need that. Children need to know that there's a safe harbor from the storm of life, and that's what a parent is. And if that person's home, a person, be it a man or a woman, it's necessary. And the only reason that things are more expensive now, in my opinion, it's because there are two incomes going into the house, so they can raise prices and make it harder.
Right.
We heard that argument last night. I'd like to see some data on that, because it's hard for me to believe, because you know, inflation hasn't really risen. It's never really been there's never really been a direct correlation with income. You know, I don't really know what that outlying factor is. If it were, you know, we would, you know, obviously minimum wage would be higher if it was consistent with how much things cost. But I'd like to see more research on it.
I saw a study that said that the dollar, the value of a dollar, is not increased since 1970 something.
Mm-hmm.
So your dollar means less, even though both people in the home are working on a regular basis now.
Well, so you're saying that that's because two people are working? Are my dollar isn't as valuable?
In
No,
my
I don't think she was
personal
saying
opinion.
that.
Well, I think that was no, that is what she's saying. See, that's what I thought, because
You
that's
said the
same
value
thing.
of the dollar decreased because she was working?
Yes, that's what
Because
KP was
there's
saying
more
last
money
night.
in circulation, there's
Yes,
more
that's
income into circulation. So the prices have inflated, but the value of the dollar has not increased.
Oh, okay.
I,
Yeah, inflation. Right. Yeah, I can totally understand that, because I mean,
well.
look at how much you pay. If you think about how much you have paid to fill up your car when you first start driving. Now picture how much you pay to fill up the same car now.
Well, of course, we can't deny that consumer prices have increased, but we have to look at why. And that's, I think that's the information that we're lacking, is why they increase. But I don't believe we can blame it on more people entering the workforce. Now, I can understand why some people might want to, but before I can ride with that, I would have to understand the research a little bit better. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it doesn't really make sense to me.
It's one of those situations where something was done, like I was saying with child support, like with everything that's done that people say is bad, there's good. Where there's good, there's bad. Like, yeah, like, okay, the value of the dollar may have decreased, whatnot, but the cost of living went up. So you had to have somebody to supplement that income that was needed to sustain like a decent living. So women had, I'm not disagreeing with what she was saying, but it was just a bad that came with the good. But I see more good in it than bad. Like if women didn't work, our houses would be looking like trash. Like our communities would be looking like trash, because the cost of living has increased way more than the pay in these jobs has increased.
But I mean,
And
Like, why is that though?
but if the women didn't work, here's the question: if say if they didn't work, and that they were spent more time on raising the kids, do believe we'd have our next generation would be better off if there was always a parent to be at home with the child, because you
No,
are
I
going to
think
but
provide for
on a
more.
but you
personality level, but not economic level. Hell no, because we've been
yeah,
exporting more and more and more than importing.
And I'm not even saying it has to be the woman; it could be the man.
I mean,
If
importing
one
more
of
than
the
exporting.
parents could stay home, think about it, and I'm pretty sure too, if they probably did a study, if any family where one of the parents can actually, when one of the parents makes enough to support the family, and the other can stay home and raise the children, I'm pretty sure that those children get a better outcome on life.
I
Yeah,
would imagine.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking on the
But
moral the moral level. Like, yeah.
You know.
yeah, I think that it's just a matter of I believe that the reason why women went to work is because there was a need for more income in the household. I don't believe that there was a need for more income because they went to work. I believe they went to work because they needed the income. That's where my mind is taking me.
Yes, and
Women
that's
originally joined the workforce in the World War II era when all of the men were sent overseas fighting. It was their way of supporting their husbands and the troops. It really had nothing to do with making money. It was more of a show of
Well,
support, and they got
but
right.
listen to what
Not
they
not
enjoyed
what
not
what
when
you
it first not when it first happened, when it became the norm.
Yeah.
Not when I say when it became normal, what was going on, what was the climate
Right.
versus just stepping in when the men are gone. I think that's like a special circumstance.
That's
What I'm
temporary.
saying is they enjoyed it so much
Go ahead, wrap it up.
that they did, when the men came home and wanted them back in the home, back in the workplace, they said, why? I've just, quote unquote, proven that I can do what you can. And
I
that's when divorce rates increased. That's when there were more single parent households. It's because the dynamic changed. Women found
I
that
don't.
they were able to do what people said that they could not.
May I
I
ask
don't.
you if you work personally? Do you work outside of the home personally?
Not any longer, no.
Okay, and when you did, like, did you enjoy it or you did it out of necessity?
I enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
I loved being able to contribute, but my being home now is more the necessity.
Right. I mean enjoying it like you're actually doing something that you enjoy. Like you actually have found what you're good at, and you know, because I would hate to stifle anybody's talent if they found something that they're good at. And that's regardless of gender. So I'm saying like we're stifling if we say, you know, women should be in the house, we're suppressing a bunch of scientists, you know, a bunch of engineers, you know, a bunch of doctors and the surgeons and therapists and so on and so forth. We're suppressing them to say no, rearing children is much better for you. So we don't want you to help contribute to those fields which, you know, contribute to quality of life. We don't want you to contribute to those fields. We think it would serve you better being at home. And I offer that because my wife is very good at what she does. She likes to work, and you know she is luckily in a profession that she can do and plans to do until she dies. You know, and I don't want to say, nah, you need to be at home going and getting the grandkids, or you know, I don't have grandkids, but that's the next step for us. You know, so
Right.
I don't feel like that's fair.
You had just said that you stepped in and took that role over because your wife makes more than you, and so
I mean,
you
from
have
fulfillment standpoint, not from a financial standpoint. You know,
okay.
like she's fulfilled by her career. Like she does good things in her career. And had I said no, you got to be in the house, then I would have taken a good college professor away from the world. Well, she wouldn't allow that to happen, but you get my point.
Right. Right.
I don't feel like we as men should stifle that talent.
I'm not saying that that should be the case, but I'm saying that from a point of view of looking back on history, uh, and sounding crass, shit went downhill when women walked out the door. And
What, what do you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that? When they walked out the doors, you mean like men can't function without women?
no,
Okay.
that's no.
Oh, when they went out, when they left the home,
When
shit
they
went down.
left
Okay,
the
okay.
home,
I feel
you
you.
know,
Okay.
people went crazy, children went wild, and there was no set protection for these babies, be them 2 or 24, to go to and know mom is always home, dad is always home, there was always somebody there for me. And then they go and
Right.
try and find that on the streets.
But I think people have to realize, okay, we're importing. Ralph, can you mute your mic, please, bro?
I got it. Yeah.
We're we were growing at a rate. This is the thing with women being home. Women are taking care of home and being mom. They're basically breeders and cooks. So think about it. Back in the days, we had a whole bunch of kids and whatnot. Our economy came to the point where a man cannot support these 4, 5, 6 kid families. Somebody had to supplement that income. Like America's been growing for years and years and years. So you can't stick. It's just, to me, it's common sense as far as economy. Like you can't keep a man working and sustaining a home by himself while having a woman at home, and the economy is becoming to a point where housing and cost of living is more expensive. It's scientifically impossible to have a woman at home across the board and have a man working. It's scientifically impossible the way our economy, not the world economy, but our economy has changed, because that's why we started importing more than exporting, because things became more expensive to sustain our way of living in America. So women had to eventually get out and work. Like, it had to be done. Like I said, it's pros and cons. But clearly, I mean, I believe that the way that women have gone to college, the way that women have stepped in, because Yahoo CEO is a female. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of females out here doing inventors who've done great things. And without them, we wouldn't have a lot of things. A lot of progress we would not have without women.
Okay.
Like, all it is a human being with a vagina who has the capabilities of doing the same thing a man can do mentally.
Okay.
And that helps the economy.
Okay, but all right, here's the question though. But don't you think the economy is also penalized because what? When you take the, one of the parents, like I said, matter of fact, we can even change it. We just even it out. It doesn't matter that it has to be the woman or the man, but without somebody to be at home to raise the kids, then you kind of open, you don't instill any values in them. You only let, like, it's like a cookie cutter, process. The kids go to school and that's what they learn. Just, it's just a stamp, and some people just take the stamp and they can go with it. Some people can't.
But that's the thing I'm talking about, though.
Like school is like
some
an assembly line. It's like an assembly line. They just keep teaching us.
I get what you're saying, but people didn't adapt. Like like I said, people make excuses of, oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. But PTA meetings start at 6, but people at home watching Love and Hip Hop at 8. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like you get off work. People don't adjust.
Yep.
We as humans have adjusted to everything on this earth except parenting. Except parenting. And if you're able to do it, but people choose not to do it. People choose not to do it.
Well, my stepmother didn't work. My dad worked 3 jobs to ensure that his family was taken care of because they wanted someone home for the children.
All right. Which I think that too, with no one being home for the children. I mean, we have a lot of bad programming and a lot of adult programming and entertainment programming on the TV and internet. And with this being the information age, I mean, damn, you can find anything. And I mean, kids are going to be kids. And as we sit up here and say, we get on them and say, well, God dog is kids. If we had the internet, we could, I mean, literally, like, say if you could go back and be in 9th grade right now with what we have and the technology you have now, wouldn't you think, oh, it would be super easy to get straight A's, right?
People say that.
I mean,
that's the funny thing. I hear older
that's
people
not
say
the
that,
case.
but they'll be the same exact way these kids are these days.
This is the problem. This is the thing that people don't factor. Now, you go to show being fair and all that. Think about it. You say, well, wow, if I had this, this, and this, can you imagine how easy it would to do my work, right? Now, if you say, okay, well, fine. Say I'm one that's always fucking around. Now, if I got the internet and these platforms and to do all this shit, imagine how much fucking around I could do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's more entertainment. So that's the bad thing.
But we're gonna have to personally take responsibility for that. I mean, if we don't put our all into it, we don't get our all out of it. So we can't blame it on technology or say something's better. I mean, or getting worse. I think it's getting better. I refuse to be the grumpy old man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it comes to, I mean, I don't want to get off subject, but honestly, I think parents being lazy has affected the household more than women working.
Yes.
But okay, here's the question. Think about it though. Maybe it's affected the household because this. Think about it. Now both parents are working, right? So now at first you only had one parent that had to go out here and exhaust himself all day working. Now both of them are working out here, working hard all day. Then when they come home, they got to tend to the kids. Right. That's like another job too. So they're already tired from that job, so they're not going to do this job that well. Where if we had one parent, say if we made it to where one of them could stay home, then the other one could take putting everything into the children as their main goal and focus of every day.
Hey, Ron,
Go ahead.
What I'm
Go ahead, Ralph.
what I'm saying is, what if both of the parents are not making enough from each job where they can't, just stay home and all this type of stuff.
Then
Or
it
what if
becomes a
you,
man. Then it becomes a management thing.
Right.
You know.
because
But
it,
but in
because
a lot of families that is true. I mean, you need both working incomes. Unless you have, I mean, don't have a just bullshit job. You have a bullshit job, both of you have to work. It's just what it is. You know.
yeah,
Well,
true.
how about this? How about this train of thought? Anybody who wants to for their wife or significant other to be at home, you're free to do that. But the key is you gotta make enough money to do it.
Right.
That's the deal. Like
Right.
we won't take that into account, and then we couple that with the fact that okay, but I had kids. Now you look at you going to point at the kids and say they're such a burden. But you had kids. You kind of knew that was what went with it when you had kids. You know, at least that's my opinion. At least I take responsibility in that form. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's
I take responsibility in that form with that, but I'll tell you, man, I have a son now. I mean, it's costing me everything. And then the bad thing, the type of work I do, if I got people that slow pay or whatever, like right now, I was sitting there looking the other day, I got $1,700 worth of contracts outstanding.
bro,
So
don't
I
you hate
haven't
that?
been
I
paid
hate
for
that
all
shit.
this work I've done. And literally,
Right.
how people act, well, I'll pay you next week, or this, that, and the other, and it's like, fuck, really, I was counting on, like just how you count on your money every Friday, I count on my money every Friday.
well, that comes, Andre. That comes into account where you got to be like, look, I need my money, basically.
But
If
I'm gonna
you
let you
know,
know this too. That's one of the things is this: when people don't really have it, or something come up, and I'm just gonna let you know, especially in my field, something come up and they don't pay, it costs you more money to go fight for your money. So
Hey, you know
sometimes
what, Andre?
you better
Though, too,
work with them.
on contract work though, that you gotta say though, that's one of the drawbacks of doing the type of work that you and I do, is that we might run into that problem. You know,
Yes.
but we chose that.
Yeah.
We chose for that to be the way that it works in our line of business. You know,
Right. Right.
but so, and I'm not trying to just point you out, but I work
No.
contract too, and I hate when I look up and my checks ain't came when they said they were gonna come. And
No.
I'm working with a government agency. So for my dumb ass, for some reason, thinks that they're gonna be official.
And I know. And I hate to say, anytime you deal with the government, 'cause that's what happened with me with my workers' comp and shit. When I went back to work and they told me, oh, well, fine, we'll just pay you the difference of what you were making and all like this. They went like 7 months. I finally had to get a lawyer to file some paperwork. Lawyer filed some paperwork. We went to court. Before we even opened up that, the judge said, oh my gosh, there was a mistake.
Hey,
Totally, everything was wrong on our end. We'll cut you a check tomorrow. I'm like, thanks. Well, we owe you for this. I said, can you at least pay my fucking lawyer fees? Because I had to pay 33% of it to a lawyer. So it's like, fuck. And then it was so bad, child support took everything of that too. But after I've been working at a diminished capacity, and I missed all that money where the child support figured that I was getting the other check. They said, we'll take this check. We won't touch that one. But basically, after I get the windfall for them, all them weeks that I went by without getting a check, then they felt, well, that's a lump sum, so we're going to take that too. So basically, you got the 65%, plus you got 100% of that check.
wow. But I guess in that aspect, I mean, it depends on how much you owe in child support. In that aspect,
Yeah. But I mean, technically, we're not going into the child support on this show because I can go off on that. I don't want to go off on a tangent. We're going to go back to our topic. But I think that's what it is. It's shown that it was acceptable for a woman to be in the workplace, which I don't have no problem with women working, but I think that just opened the doors because the company said, well, wait a minute. We can hire more people, make more product, and we just make everything cost a little bit more, but we won't raise the price of what we're paying our workers.
I believe
That's
it.
the
I don't
point.
believe it happened like that. I believe it happened more so they raised the prices and we had to work more in order to buy the things we were normally buying
Exactly.
before. I don't believe that's the real.
Exactly.
We're
So,
importing like 100 times more than what we were years ago. People don't understand that everything went up. Everything went up.
Yeah, because
The
we're not
baby
making
boomer
it here.
generation, the
Yeah.
baby boomer generation had a lot of kids, had a lot of kids, and that right there honestly did push the cost of living up a lot, a lot. It changed the market.
But I think the cost of living changed before the prices. I mean, excuse me, the prices changed before the cost of living, and then that changed the role of the workers in the household. Because if you think about it, right, women didn't just all run out and get full time jobs right away. They started with part time jobs or even in home businesses like Tupperware and Mary Kay. So really, it was designed to be a supplement in the first place.
mm, I don't know, but I mean, but don't you think? But think about it. They worked more. They ended up working, and everyone knows women. I hate to say, women they get a thrive out of shopping. It's too bad we don't have any women on the panel to ask. But women, I'm sorry, we do have April. I'm sorry, April.
I think that's an unfair stereotype, and she shouldn't have to say that.
I'm just saying, I think that women like to shop though.
I
Again,
no,
hey, I have to go back to the women you surround yourself with, Andre. I know a lot of fiscally responsible women. I know a lot
Raphael, when
of
you're
them.
patting your head, you need to mute. We can hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I say
My
just
bad.
keep muted until you're gonna speak, because you have a lot of background noise. We can hear the people in the background too.
my husband enjoys shopping more than I do. I can't stand it.
I
I'd
mean,
rather
I, I think I'm not gonna say all, but a lot of them.
there are a lot.
I think we learned that from the media, man. I don't. I promise you,
That's that
more the women I
traditional thinking.
encounter.
No,
Yeah, I think they're
no. Women
fiscally. I
women
think
spend
that
way
women.
more money than we do. You're gonna try to say that?
Hey, bro. Hey, I'm gonna say they manage it better than us too. If you want to offset it with something that makes sense.
I'll
But
give them that. But they spend
what
more
I'm
money
saying
than we
is,
do.
bro. What I'm saying is that I think that I personally I know more women that are financially and fiscally responsible than the men I know. And like I
Right.
said, maybe it's the women you're around, maybe it's the men I'm around and the women I'm around. I take that, right?
Right.
But I think
I
that
agree with that.
I think it's a maturity thing, bro. And I think that we've been told all our lives that women like to shop.
Hmm.
But I ain't never seen it with my wife. She shops when she needs to, you know. And every now and
And
then she'll
Dre,
want something.
oh, my bad.
Now, I'll say, like I said, I'll totally agree with you that women they probably manage money better, but they do spend more than that. Just give you an example. The only reason why back at 19 I had a 730 credit score, 720 credit score back then was because of my girlfriend. Now she didn't work
Dre,
at all, but she managed all my money.
Dre, you
I
hit
would
it on the
never
head
write
though. You
a check,
hit it on the
none of that
head.
shit. She did it.
You hit it on the head.
But
People say women spend all the money in the house, but who's allowing them to do all the spending? Men.
I,
They're spending
Well, we
men's
also have
money.
let's see what they're spending it on too, because I think that most of us would agree that it's something to try to improve their appearance because we put some crazy ass standards on them. So let's look at what they're buying. If you're saying they're buying stuff, I mean, I think makeup is a too big of an industry.
oh
You
yeah,
know what I'm
definitely.
saying? You know, so I mean, but they buy it because of the standards that we put in
Yes,
place,
women spend on vanity, but we push the vanity agenda. Though.
yeah,
Men do. That's why sex
exactly.
sells. Sex sells because of us.
Yes, 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 yes.
Victoria's Secret wouldn't exist unless it was for men, not women.
I don't know about that because there it's hard to find some sizes
There you
at
go. Just
Walmart.
they make a good product. They make a good product. I'm glad you said that. They make a good product, and I hear that a lot. But the truth of the matter
When I mean
is,
Vicky's Secrets,
that's
I mean
not
for
they don't
lingerie.
promote. No. But here's the deal. This is what we have to know. The difference in what y'all are talking about is real simple. Like they don't promote their products as being good products. They don't do that. You just know that because you've used them. We haven't, right? But any
Right.
advertisement we see
They
never
get
told us
drawn
how
in.
great that shit was. They never said it's great. They said look at how good it looks on them.
Right.
That's how they promote it. But I understand. I'm glad you noted quality of product is important, and that is important to you. But some people are going there because of the social stigma that's been put on it. That your marriage in trouble, go get your piece of lingerie from here. You want to spice shit up, go to Victoria's Secret. When really y'all just going to get a functional bra and some drawers that are comfortable.
That's true, because honestly, I don't know if I've ever dated someone who enjoyed the traditional lingerie look more than like like a men's shirt and whatever. But it was about to most women, it's about they want to feel attractive themselves, and they know they've got something pretty on underneath, and that it fits and feels good.
I would have to disagree
So
with
they
y'all on
shop
that.
there.
I'm in marketing. I'm in marketing. I own a fashion line. That's. I'm telling you now. Back 50 years ago, maybe. Now women are more geared towards pleasing the eyes of men. That's why you see more women getting fake titties, fake ass. That's why you see more women wearing weave now more than ever. Vanity is now geared toward looking good for men. And you see it across the board, and socially between women, arguments and things like that is over who thinks who's better, appealing to men. It's all about men. It's not traditional anymore. It's about
But
men.
but I think it is fair to say that while how they were exposed to their products, I understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But like I hear a lot of women say they make good shit. I know that ain't got shit to do with marketing, but they have found a way they have found a way to make their product to create some loyalty with their product.
I say it's great marketing. Like Nike uses the same
All right.
technology as Adidas. They sell twice as much. It's
Right.
marketing.
Okay.
It's great
Right.
marketing. Think about
Wow.
it. Look, you see Victoria's Secret commercials. What do they use? Angels. They use angels. You can't fight against angels. See what I'm saying? Everything is marketing and strategy. Hanes doesn't use angels. Lane Bryant doesn't use angels. They don't. And they use the number one. What's the number one beauty symbol in America? A blonde with blue or green eyes with a slim body. And Victoria's Secret has been running with it for years. It has nothing to do with the quality of the product. Lane
I'm,
Bryant
I'm,
probably
I'm,
makes they're different sizes, but Hanes probably makes the same quality bra as there's a lot of companies that make the same quality bras as Victoria's Secret, even better. But they use angels and they use blondes with blue and green eyes.
True. I'll give you that. I can't even argue that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm waiting on them to put a girl with an ass in some of them panties so I can really see what they look like because they are
Oh,
tripping.
man.
They'll never do it. They'll never do it because it looks like a rap video when you do it. And that brings down the value of your product.
Oh yeah, you're right. I hate to say, I thought I never thought about it from that point of view. That I'm like,
So
why
it's
don't
like when a lot
I
of
no
sisters be
girl
like, they
with
need more of this,
no
they need
thick,
more of that.
right?
Nah, I wouldn't do it. If I'm running that company, I wouldn't do it. Like
Yeah,
my company, like Fear of God
why?
Clothing.
I'm
Like
not into clothing, so but yeah, I'm thinking, why in the hell you never have? Then I thought about it. No, that would be because you don't want to tie your product to anything ratchet,
Nah.
ghetto.
Well, that's not really their target market. And just for the record, I was talking about a blonde hair, blue eyed white girl with an ass.
But
But
it's right. But think about it though. Anytime you see thick women or you see big ass and stuff like that, where it's like too much on the ass itself and the
it
body,
brings the value
it brings
down.
the value down.
look,
I could totally see that. I thought about it that
I
way.
hear what you're saying.
Correlated the two together.
I guess a
Like
better
my
way to say that, I want to see what I like in that shit
Well,
before we go to
oh
the
man.
store.
Okay,
yeah, it's
but
like oh, go ahead.
don't you think as a marketing person, like there are certain things that are geared towards women, but like gym memberships, the shaving clubs, cars, quote unquote masculine things are geared towards men and the man
Uh,
dollar?
yeah, I mean
every
that's
product,
obvious.
every product has a target market.
But but in marketing though, you realize that 70% of the stuff needs to be marketed towards women because women hold the spending power in the home, whether it's a woman only in that house or a man and woman. That's across like that's why you see commercials where most of the time it's like car commercials has a woman like with water in her hair or some shit. It could be a commercial about something so manly, but no man's
Yeah.
in the commercial. No man's in the commercial. That's why because women hold the spending power.
Hmm.
I
Never
mean, I
thought.
believe it makes sense.
Right. I can understand that.
So if we know that scientifically, then why are we still so resistant to give up control, whether it
It's,
be literal or figurative?
you just answered it scientifically. Scientifically, men are felt like we're supposed to be in control. But it goes to the old saying that men think they run their household, but a woman really does. It goes back to
Right.
that because you think that okay, you control if a burglar breaks into your house, you can take them down and do this and that. But when bills come in, it's like, damn, I don't feel like doing math. I'm gonna just hand this over to her and she handle the finances. So they know that,
Right.
like marketers know that, so they put women on there.
Well, I mean, I will
A
admit,
happy
I gotta
wife,
agree with that
happy wife, happy life.
because I
Yes,
gotta agree with
I
sayings
that.
say
like
ha-
that.
You know, my
yeah.
I
scientific,
agree with
all
you
my
on that, Patrick.
yeah. She
I
handled
must
all
live
my
in the
shit.
Stone Age because that's not how it works in my house.
I understand that, but see, you're an older woman though. That's why I try to get people to
I'm
understand the economy
34.
has changed. You're
34.
older.
How old
You're
are you?
older.
How old are you? May I ask how old you are, April?
I am 34.
Oh, no, you're younger than me.
Well,
But I
maybe
would admit,
he's saying old school, maybe
like
old
old
school of
school.
thought.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right, definitely. Because I'm gonna just tell you like this: if it wasn't for, I gotta give her a shout out. If it wasn't for Renee, my credit would have been shit. Because she took my, I mean, literally, I would have had the money in the bank. I would have plenty of money. I wasn't broke at all, and I would never write the checks. They would call me on the phone, and when they called me, I'd give them a thing over the phone. And they were like, every time we call me, you, Mr. Mitchell, you always pay. I said, I know, it's just that I just forget. Can you just call me next month? He's like, we just can't call you every month because, you know, that was before they had automatic. I'm like, well, if you call me every month, you'll definitely get your money on time. And then that's when they start doing where they could take you like your car note and shit out of you. So I said, well, look, just go ahead and take double for next month. You know,
So April, is that April? I think it is April.
It's me.
Hold on. Oh, okay, yeah, I will make sure you're the April with the dog picture. I thought it was somebody else. But I think it wasn't like an insult or anything. Like when I said like you're older, it honestly is like the try to explain to me like the age gap thing. Like if you look at it like in terms of like radio, when you're 34, right? You can listen to stuff that a 50-year-old woman can listen to, and y'all both in the same room, and it's like, dang, I know this song. Yeah, you know this song too. Boom. When you get to that demographic of under 30, it totally changes, and then the gap is not as wide. You get to a 25-year-old, they're not listening to things a 30-year-old is, and then a 21-year-old definitely isn't listening to the things that 25 and 30-year-old listening to. It's the same thing in the market as far as shopping goes and spending money on products. It's the same thing like a 30-year-old woman and a 45-year-old woman and a 50-year-old woman, y'all have the same ideals as far as spending for the most part. But when you
Right.
hit that under 30 demographic, like I'm 28. Women my age are spending way more than 40-year-old women. They're spending, even if they don't have it to spend, they spend way more. Like those Victoria's Secret sales, where you got like, what is it, 10 for whatever it is or whatnot. Every time those sales pop up, they hit it. Anytime a sale on Tuesday at Aeropostale or something, they hit it. Handbags on sale for 10% off, they hit it. They spend way more money than what women did back in the 70s and 60s and 50s. They
But
spend way more.
they're having their children later too. And would you account that to the disposable income? I
You
mean,
said
you,
you said they're
you
having
this
what do you say about the children?
they're having their children later in life.
Um,
And then the other thing is, oh man, it just slipped my brain. I'm sorry, but let's just stick with that they're having their children later in life, so they have more of a disposable income.
yeah, they
See,
have more. Like Ebony was saying
right.
in the chat, like she's saying, like, well, older women have more. That y'all missing what I'm saying. I'm not saying they don't have more. What I just said was younger women, even if they don't have it, they spend more. They
yeah,
spend more. Older women save. Like April, you should probably shop sales and shit at the grocery store. Young women don't do that these days.
yeah.
But don't you think that's about being taught the value of a dollar?
Oh, of course. I'm not
It's
saying it's
about
a good
learning
thing.
it. It's about learning it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good
It's
thing.
not
I'm
just
just saying it's a
about being
reality.
it's not just about being taught it. It's about learning it and applying it. Because the thing is, I believe that those young women that are spending that money, they know the value of a dollar in terms of what they could
Hmm.
buy, but they don't have any longevity. They're not looking 10 years down the road and thinking they'll need that money. So I think that you know, it's kind of hard to say that they don't know a value of a dollar because they know how many pairs of drawers they can get at that sale. You know, so
Yes.
they're able to put a value on their dollars. You know, but we may not agree with it. So it's hard to say that they don't value it.
And honestly, like when people say, okay, like if you just ask me, and I'm not saying you are, but people have said to me, well, young people don't know the value of this. It's like, but when we're looking at older people, excuse me, go to Black Friday sales and spend money, but they were just complaining about bills and whatnot 4 months earlier and worried about retirement and this and that. It's kind of like older people don't know the value of a dollar. It's just misconstrued. It's just a different viewpoint with younger people. Like, yeah, we'll go buy $200 pair of shoes, but then older people go buy $800 TV on Black Friday because it's a quote unquote sale, but they don't need that TV. Everybody like it goes across the board. It's just in different facets. That's all it is.
Okay.
Well,
Like
I
you see
mean,
older people buying $250,000 homes who only make $60,000 a year, and then they can't afford to send their kids to college.
I've heard that most Americans live at 106% of their income. So I mean, I think it's relevant to talk about credit, you know, and how
Mm-hmm.
that system is exposed to if we're going to talk about spending habits, because we got a system that allows us to live above our means and then traps us. So we do it young, and then we look up and we're 30 and we're like, oh shit, now I'm broke. But it was all our own doing.
Yeah.
I mean, too, our generation too. We've always, I think, what they've done is too. We put too much, like emphasis on a person is what they own,
Or drive.
right? Right, what they own.
Yeah,
You
you're right.
are
I
what you
thought you
have.
meant where, but yeah.
Right, own what you own. If you don't own it, you're lame. You know,
It is
that's
like
really.
that.
But I think that's what we've done. We've glorified a life of luxury, and like one of the things I say, fake it till you make it. A lot of people are faking it, and they can't make it, but they got to keep on faking it, and that's what really hurts them even more. Because they don't want to fake, hey, that I'm a baller, or I got this and I got that, and I'm making money like this, and they're really not.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's more along the lines of trying to quote unquote keep up with the Joneses. And you
Yeah.
Somebody
see like
said
Kim
that.
Kardashian balling and having 54 cars or whatever that
She said,
person has, and then you're like, oh, I want that, but then you're not wanting to put in the effort that comes with getting that.
right. I just said that last night about people seeing the fruits and not the roots. That's what I was talking about.
That's funny.
My granddad taught me that. He said people gonna see the fruits of your work and wanna, hey, put me on, do this and do that. They don't see the roots, what it took to get it.
Yeah, I've had people even talk about me because I don't see the purpose in buying expensive shoes. I'm a, I hate to spend more than $50 on a pair of shoes. I'll spend that more for my son because, in his era, that's really worried about. And I will admit too, they make it seem like if you don't have the right type of clothing on or whatever, that just puts more stress on the young people because I notice they really are into fashion. To where that can interfere with your learning in school.
I agree. And a lot of the kids that don't have it, they get picked on and things like that.
I agree too.
I think it sets unrealistic expectations for what you may or may not accomplish later on in your life.
Right.
And I also think the marketing has become so good to the point, like I'm gonna say I'm guilty of it, okay? Like if you visit like me and Jerry's website, right, fearguide.com, like right now you go into another tab or whatever and visit it. Our cheapest pair of jeans is probably $300. And that's because I know people are willing to pay for a $300 pair of jeans. So when people say like something is ridiculous to buy, I kind of look at it in a business sense. I look at everything like that. Like I can look at a laptop, an Asus laptop that you can configure, let's say change 4 parts to it. Then you have a MacBook. That MacBook may cost $2,300, but you can buy that Asus for $400. But people will buy that MacBook. People will buy that MacBook. It's kind of like a car. Okay, cars I drive. Yeah, Exactly. But what I'm saying is, I think we all fall into that whole scheme of living like the Joneses, because a lot of times you don't have to buy that drink at the bar that's $12 or $15. You don't have to go to the movies to watch a movie, but you choose to, and it's not a necessity. So anything we buy that's not a necessity, and we're buying at a premium price, you're falling into the Joneses aspect also.
Hey, can
We
I
all
ask you a
do.
quick
Sitting here
question? I
trying
don't
to
want
think. I don't buy anything. I don't buy anything that's super
I'm not
expensive
saying you
like
as an
that.
individual, but I mean
Like,
across the
no,
board,
I'm
Dre.
trying to
Most
think
people who
of one
talk about
thing
it,
that
they
I
do it.
splurge on. The biggest thing that I probably splurge on, I might buy some ice cream that's not on sale. That's to go to show you how, when I splurge, how that's what a splurge is. I mean,
can I
I don't
ask
buy, I'm not big into clothes or nothing like that. Now, yeah, I got a couple name brand pieces, but I
Watch
ain't gonna lie.
batteries.
I got it from people who it fell off the truck.
Can I ask what those four parts are that'll make a Asus a
Might
MacBook?
be literally 4. It might be 14. You know, it's 14. It ain't 4,
All
but
right.
still, you can
I
build
was
your own
like,
computer.
I was
You
like,
can
put
build
in
your
the
own computer
chat.
for $900 and work like a MacBook.
Well, Patrick,
Right.
go ahead and send me some specs on a laptop, because as you see the trouble we have, I need a new laptop to run the show.
Yeah,
So
just give
if you
me
see any good ones out
your budget or whatever you're trying to spend.
See,
there,
I
shit, I'm
can't
like,
even paint my
you could
toenails without
possibly,
smudging them, let alone build a computer.
as cheap
I
as
just think
possible.
I think that I don't know. I guess we do things that we think are going to make us happy, and we don't realize how it affects us financially for things that we need. And but at the same time, it goes back to like I said, you want your wife to be at home, make enough money to do it. You want to indulge or splurge, make enough money to do it. You don't want to be burdened by the government, make enough money to not have to be burdened by some of the restrictions that you face. I believe that it's all tied back to having enough money to change your behavior, but we'll still fall into
Yeah,
bad habits.
yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that, Damon. Because there have been times where I know, like, I bought me a $439 laptop. I knew I was gonna need that laptop. That was a need and stuff like that. I don't waste money on nothing. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm the cheapest man alive because I have to save for everything I want at the end. So I agree with
Yeah.
you. I agree
I
with you
mean,
on that.
I ain't never had my own bought from the store laptop. Not never. I done got hand me downs from my kids because I felt like they needed that shit for school.
Right. Well,
So it's just the
I,
sacrifices we make.
I made a sacrifice. I did get a laptop that cost about $800, $900. The last this one back in the day, and that was high for me. The one I do admit the one I had before was 1,500, but I said I'd never do that again. But don't. But before I said if I'm gonna spend over $500, I took a year to buy it. I went without one for a year to make sure. You know what I mean? I made myself put a little bit aside and then just bought one then.
You dealt with the buyer's remorse before you bought it.
Oh yeah, I went to a whole year without one because I remember when mine went out. Man, I hate to say, like I said, I'd rather have a laptop than a computer. I mean, than television. The television sits there. I don't even turn the television on.
Patrick, can I
Right.
ask you a question? Well, a couple.
Yes, man. Yes, man.
Do you have any? You don't have any babies, right?
Yeah, I have a child. She's
Or
4.
you have? Okay. Um, if things had worked out with her mom, would you have wanted her to stay at home with the baby if it was financially available to do so?
Would I have wanted her to, or would it have
Yes.
happened? If she wanted to work,
Would you have wanted her to?
I would have wanted to just because of I know my income. I was able to do that comfortably, and she was able to help me with my business. So, I mean, that's my situation though. That's what I'm saying. I don't think people evaluate their situation. Like I could
So,
save for my child's college and do that and let her stay home.
yeah. What do you do again?
Well, I own 2 businesses and I do have a career. I work in government security.
See, that's what I was just wondering because I know there are some guys who, even though they make a tremendous amount of money, they say that they don't want their wife to mooch off them or you know, that they feel that their wife needs to work, but then they also want them to come home and cook and clean and change diapers while they go and play golf.
I feel like it shouldn't be black or white. Like I just said, like she helped with the business, and she was helping with my businesses. So I think, like a lot of housewives that I know, they just don't sit at home and bake cookies and wait for the husband to come home. They do something that can bring in some type of income, because you can get into a hobby and turn it into a business. You can bake cookies and sell them, and give your husband something.
And that's what I was saying earlier about the Mary Kay and the Tupperware. You know, it started out as a supplement. You know, women working was to supplement the man's income, and then it became to the point to where now where we're at with dual income household.
I mean, that's just one way of doing it. I mean, a lot of dudes who make a lot. It's also been drilled into us that no, I don't let her stay home because she mooching off you and she divorced you. She getting half of your stuff, and it's a sour taste to it too. It's some bad things being implanted in men's head because of the whole, you know, let her stay home thing, and the whole feminism is ruining this and feminism is ruining that. It goes both ways. It's both ways. I think people just have to evaluate their situation and apply it as such. Like they have to develop their own plan for how it's going to work. Like you can't be too naive about your income, and that's one thing I was never naive about my income. I think a lot of people are. Like I said, people buying these big houses with 3 kids, with a dog in the yard, and two cars in the garage, and then they don't realize, hey, we can't afford all this just because we're making $100,000 a year. You can't afford a $300,000 house, but people don't think about that. Like people complain about college being too expensive, but it's the little things like okay, your child is 18, right, going off to college. People don't realize how much money they spent over those years they didn't have to spend. They could have put towards their kids' college. Like, what about the times you said, I don't feel like cooking. Let's just buy this $30 worth of pizza. You probably did that 100 times.
When you find out they've been teaching the wrong shit in college, too, how's that? That sucks. Because, you know, we're just realizing.
That's a different discussion. I mean, that's a different discussion. Like,
college. Well, I know, but I'm just saying, we're, like you said, keeping up with the Joneses, and you want to keep up with getting college. That's the Joneses, too. Because college is being sold to you as some sort of a way to, you're going to have a better life. Well, look at all the kids that went to college this time. And
that is a different discussion, though, because college is a tool, bro. If you go to college,
anything can be cut into a different discussion, but I meant to add to the fact that you were talking about keeping up with the Joneses. I was saying, well, the college is also keeping up with the Joneses.
Nah, because college is not a commodity. It's not a commodity. Buying a Lexus is a commodity.
Depends on who's selling it.
Well,
college is a commodity, dude. College is a commodity.
Value it different.
Right, college
I
is
think that what he's saying is a way to get to your. It's a way to a means type of thing. It's not the means. Like you're.
The biggest.
I don't know. Well, tell me.
Get out of it normally is a debt.
Well, yeah, that's true.
When you
also increase your
that's an investment. College is an investment.
After leaving college, that a lot of the shit I learned in college was absolutely fucking wrong.
Did you go to?
That's what I'm finding out. Light speed is not a constant.
Gravity
is not a constant. All these things that we've been taught, that we paid all this money to learn. About the blood and pH in the blood, and now you find out that the pleomorphism is actually real, and that there's species to species interaction, transaction, or transformation inside of the blood, from yeast to fungus to mold. From starting from enzymes to bacterium to yeast to fungus to mold. These are all. This isn't taught in college. You know what I mean?
The idea is.
They teach gravity as being the greatest force in the universe, when we know electromagnetism is 1 billion billion times stronger.
MG, check this out. Here's what
how does that have to do with the women working in the workplace and not at home?
Well, because some women work in colleges, right? I mean, it's like the whole thing. I was just kind of throwing into the idea that. What is it? Keeping up with the Joneses, because that kind of stuck. It stuck true with me what he was saying, because I believe what he's saying is absolutely correct. I was just throwing in that one of the other Joneses these days, it's not accepted like that yet in the mainstream, because yet so many people are still haven't realized that college education is a bunch of bullshit for the most part, depending on what field that they've been
I
spending all the money on.
actually agree with him on that because
All
college
right.
is actually the new. That's like private prisons. College
All right,
is actually
here's
the new
the
cash
thing.
cow.
That's
Y'all
like
made
your
this
nice
comment
fancy
last
pair of
night.
Nikes, so you can say, "Oh, I went to UCLA," or
Nah,
"Oh,
that's not it at all, bro. I remember growing up hearing that a high school diploma wasn't gonna be worth shit pretty soon. That's what everybody used to tell me. They said the new shit is a bachelor's degree. The new shit is a
Right.
bachelor's degree. I
Right.
said, I said I wasn't sure if they knew what they were talking about, but I'm looking at people that are struggling and broke and they didn't go to college. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to college, right? Now I have a college degree, and I don't say that like I think I'm special. I say that because now, just like they said, it's the new high school diploma. So you got a bunch of people with
Mm-hmm.
colleges degrees
Mm-hmm.
that are still restricted by the workforce, that aren't making the money that yes we were told we were going to make, but it was
Right.
still an investment that allowed us to increase
Investment.
our earning potential.
Investment.
Secondarily, the reason why the whole bachelor's is the new high school
I understand
diploma. Hold on,
the
hold on, hold on.
idea of why it's supposed to be, but that's not the reality of what we have
that's not
now.
the
Look
complete
at all the
that's
debt
not the
that's going
complete
on from
point.
kids that
That's
are.
not
One
the
at a
that's not
time.
the complete
Sorry,
point.
I can't
Wait
hear
a
That's
you
not
minute.
really.
the
Wait a
that's
minute, guys. One at a time.
that's
'Cause we can't hear you.
that's
You both
No,
talk.
I'm not trying
that's
to
not
argue.
that's not the complete point. Let me just finish off this sentence. I'll be happy to hear what you say. So the completion of that is because the bachelor's degree is the new high school diploma. What I learned is that at the graduate school level, at the master's level, that's when application and research start to come into play, where you're actually on top of the industry as it's changing ever so fast. So we can't stay up with it. We know that, right? But the thing is that that's when the education really becomes application. So what you're saying is that in your experience, when you were trying to get 130 hours to graduate with a bachelor's degree, you got
Hmm.
50 and you were tired of history and English and said this shit ain't worth it. When in reality, had you finished that bachelor's degree and then gone into graduate school, you would have been able to learn all the application you
Bingo.
wanted to know about any field you wanted to know, including how your neuroplasms
Yep.
integrate with your jonoplasms. I don't that
No,
you learn
that
that in
that's what I'm
grad
trying to
school.
tell you. No, that I'm there. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. They do not teach you that. You literally, and it's still not taught that. The doctors do not
People there don't
treat
tell you
that
that.
way.
People there don't tell you they're there.
Yeah, so exactly.
Well, I think that
You
has
understand what I mean though?
Yeah,
that's more
people who are
or less
there
things
mentally
aren't always
don't tell
known.
you that they're there. Yeah, you're saying that I'm not there because since I
No,
said
I'm
I'm
not. No,
there.
I'm not. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm saying that the reason why the thing is that our expectation is that somebody has a credential, right? And we spoke before, so I don't want people to think that this is the first time you and I spoke. So, and I hope you remember our last discussion. We were talking about vaccines. So, I'm just talking about like scientists versus people that have read research. I'm just saying the difference between those two people means a lot to me. And it's no disrespect to you, bro.
Right, and no, none taken because you're not placing me in that position. I'm not there, and that
Right. Well, then
position
when
that
I
you
said
just
made
said.
that comment, I didn't want you to think that I was placing you anywhere. That's
Right.
why I wanted. Yeah.
No, yeah, I thought we had a good conversation. I don't.
No,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
let me clear this up. Let me maybe take that. When I say the dislike for college, maybe I need to rephrase that. I do have a dislike for college, and it's not because the person getting the education and all that. I have a dislike for the price of college.
Well, there's also a false
That's
awareness.
what I don't
There's,
like
I'm
because
trying to point out that there's also a false um, teachings. There's false teachings being taught in college textbooks written by pharmaceutical companies, biotech firms, basically. And these biotech firms are the ones selling the products, and they have people on the head of the FDA that are pushing those products on forward
Hey,
without regulatory testing, proper regulatory testing. We've already busted all this. There's
but
no
here
arguing
we
that.
mentioned this. We talked about this the other day, MG. Like these researchers have an interest in their field. I know you think they're all on the hook, but I live with a researcher and I work with several researchers. They want to progress their field. They don't
Right,
have
but
any
they're not
interest.
the researcher you live with and you work with is not the one who wrote the textbook for
No, that's not true.
glyphosate
They do
being
write.
safe. glyphosate not
textbooks.
ever being in our drinking water, all these lies that they've been telling us that is not
And
true.
you're saying we need to
Glyphosate,
invalidate that field. We need to
right? But
invalidate
excuse
that
me for a
field, not
second. Let me
our.
finish. I know
Sure.
you got to make a few points, and I really haven't been able to combat any of them at this point, right? But I wanted to say, you learn in college that things like glyphosate has no permeability to the human cell. So you think that because Roundup that has glyphosate in it is approved by the FDA, that it's okay. Because I went to college and they said all this, and this is exactly where I learned it. But the thing is they don't mention in college that those companies are liars, and that you have to dig even deeper, because we found that the inert ingredients, and I'm throwing up quotes because they call them inert ingredients, well, they are actually the cause of the cellular permeability that allows the glyphosate to enter the human cell and create the damage that in college you learn doesn't occur. But it does occur in real life. So what I'm saying is it's junk. You're learning stuff sometimes by these pharmaceutical and biotech firms from what they write in your textbooks in college.
Brother,
Okay.
We got all this.
I understand your frustration. I do, but I'm gonna give you some piece of advice.
We're being poisoned right now by.
I understand that. We've been getting poisoned by McDonald's and everything else long before you went to grad school.
Yeah, that doesn't belittle. Don't belittle what I'm saying, because
I'm not belittling what you're saying. I'm trying to get you to understand something. You're in grad school saying that professors are lying to you, right? Dude, we're in 3rd and 4th grade being told that Columbus discovered America.
Right, that's a lie.
I understand your frustration. My advice is get your paperwork and then correct the textbooks. That's what my teachers always taught me. If you think it's wrong, you get your paperwork and your credentials, then you correct the textbooks.
That paperwork exists. That's what I'm trying to, do without combating anybody.
But that doesn't make college a waste of time or whatnot, because you believe that the professors are.
Well, first you got to break open the idea. Like in one of these chat rooms, you throw out the idea and see who's acceptant of the idea and who doesn't have the cog D that wants to battle you completely. And if they open up to that, then you can say, now here's some links to the actual documentation that prove my point, what I'm saying. Because it's almost like you can't really do that in the middle of an argument, because people don't even look. I mean, they don't even care, and that gets all
egotistical. You're passionate about proving a point of people lying. My thing is, though, bro, we all know colleges and grade school, secondary education, they all lie about certain things. We know this.
My point is that the colleges, they're not lying to you on purpose. They are being fed these professors and shit. They're not lying to you on purpose. I'm not saying that at all. They are actually being taught inside of the paradigm that keeps them from finding out the truth, so that they get taught in the paradigm. I mean, of course, if you got, let's say you got all numbers, right? Just make it real simple across the board. We got all numbers and 1 through 10 numbers. Well, there's a pattern. There's if I use if I count by threes, I've also got 3 of those numbers inside of my 1 through 10 numbers. You know what I mean? So that you see these parallels, and then they think, okay, well, threes is how we count. We count by threes because of these parallels, and they go, well, look, it works up to a certain point, like relativity and things like that, up to a certain point, but then you have to renormalize things. You have to create alternative situations that make this puzzle fit together, because it doesn't really work.
Okay.
And I'm talking about black holes, asymptotically curved, asymptotically flat. These don't exist, but they are only in math. They exist. That's what they're trying to show you. Look at that black hole right there and that black hole right there. Well, the definition would show that it's either asymptotically curved or asymptotically flat, or it's one of the other 4 types of the 4 types of black holes, right, that exist.
But then MJ, we're getting away from the topic.
Well, it's kind of a major point, though. It's well.
Finish your point, then we're going back to the topic. Then we're going back to the topic. Finish your point, then we go back to the topic.
Well, it is the topic because it's about false teachings in the college, and college being a commodity, because it's not really something that you actually. Everybody who goes to college does not.
How does that have to deal with women in the workforce and
because women are bought into the whole the whole thing harder than almost anybody, because they've got this well, it's serious. Have you ever seen it? They've got all when you believe that you got so much to take care of, and you got the system and da 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 da, and you try to go through this system, you know, and you think you're doing the right thing, and since you see everybody else is doing it, and then they say, well, if you don't do it, then you're this and you're that. Well, I see a lot of people who didn't go to college who are actually millionaires, and they got their own businesses, and they do all kinds of stuff, and they don't have any kind of
Percentage-wise? Are you one of those? Look at Zuckerberg. Look at Bill Gates. Look at the
You're talking about people who aren't even real.
But it can't increase
rollout people.
It can increase the
Zuckerberg,
odds.
you think he really invented Facebook?
Does furthering your education increase the odds?
Yes.
No,
your education, yes. Your real
okay.
education, yes. But furthering your indoctrination, no.
And
Now there's my point. That's it.
All right.
Most of that in that college is indoctrination, not education.
Okay. Well, go ahead, April. You had something to say. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, how old are you?
41.
You sound good.
Oh,
for
yeah.
41.
I appreciate that.
My thing is,
I look good, too.
what I'm trying to understand. I get your point, but what you're saying is everybody knows that when you get out of school, regardless of if it's high school, trade school, college, you never stop learning, and things are always being disproven or reproven. Everything evolves in education. So I don't understand your anger.
My point is, if you since I've been out of school, I've been in school the whole time. I've never been out of school, basically. That's what I'm saying. You know, physically out of the school and the system and all of that, but always learning, driving, staying on top of the peer-reviewed papers, the publishings, you know, all this kind of stuff, trying to stay busy into that. So on guard, you know, wondering, you know, looking, because I've got, like, you know, things that I've predicted and shit that, you know, oh, watch, they're going to try and come out with a cancer vaccine in 5 years, you know, things like that. And this is all happening now, you know, because, when you can follow and understand what they're going to, when you see the pattern is that every fucking thing that they've said has ended up being wrong, then you start realizing, all right, well, that's, you know, that's a big thing. That's not accidental. You can't accidentally be wrong every fucking time, because even a broken clock is going to be right twice a day. You know, I mean, you literally, whole wheat is fucking good for you, they say. You know, now go look it up now. They changed, they being big agro, they switched over without telling the public to red dwarf wheat in 1967. We've all been eating red dwarf wheat, which is high in phytic acid, causes diabetes, causing problems between in the communities. You know, black people get hit the hardest by it as well, by the way. You know, diabetes and shit. That's bread. That's wheat. They told you it was good for you, whole grains and all this shit. They told us cigarettes was good for us. They told us fucking, you know, eating calcium is good for you. They told you, you know, all this kind of shit that is not actually good for you, that is good for you. And a lot of people still believe some of those things. Like, I'm still having arguments with people about calcium and wheat and shit, but I don't want to argue. I just say, here's an article. If we're friendly enough, I can spend the time on showing you this article, right? You know, and then you can go and look at the peer-reviewed papers where they show you the chart and how phytic acid raises the blood sugar levels, and it, you know, robs all the, chelates the minerals and basically out of your body or out of the plant, not allowing the plant to uptake them in the first place. So you end up with a really mineral deficient, you know, plant that is high in phytic acid. It causes sickness and death, you know, and it's supposed to be our #1 healthy thing. But then there's all kinds of shit that you know what I mean, you don't learn in school, or they don't, you know, they being the establishment or whoever the boogeyman is, the pharaohs who never fell, Rome that never fell, you know what I mean? I mean, I think they've created all of these little templates of rule, you know, to make it look like they're all separate teams, while the royals sit back and rule, laughing about how all these countries look like we think they're all fighting each other and shit. And it's like the people might be under a rationale that makes them believe that they need to fight. But guess what? All the royals know that oil is abiotic. That means it's not a fossil fuel, and it's not going to run out. It's like human blood almost to the earth. It's like that, you know, as human blood is to us, oil is to the earth. Basically, we lose a little blood, our body abiotically creates more. As same with the oceans of oil underneath the the dirt. Right. You know, that's why they don't have fossils down at the bottom of those oil fields. There's no fossil ever found as deep as those oil mines are, or oil wells are.
But But after that, we've made our point on that. We're going to go back to topic now. So because basically we done strayed off and talked about college, and so we don't go too far off on a tangent. We're going to go back to women in the workforce has it caused the destruction of the American family.
You see what I'm doing though? I'm showing like a fundamental issue that beats that. It says like it's like you can't even fix this problem without fixing these problems first, because those problems only exist because of these artificially orchestrated energy crises. You know these.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is this. MG, but what I'm saying is this is though we're going to talk about this part of the problem first. That way we can and we'll go to. But yes, like I tell you, that's a topic for a whole different show. Because just like we all know that we've had textbooks where they changed slaves to workers. You know what I mean?
Went from college as a waste to fossil fuels.
Huh? You said what?
He went from college as a waste to oil and fossils.
But
because they're all connected, man.
Right, but
I feel you, bro. I feel you.
You get taught that oil is a fossil fuel in college, don't you?
What about them cigarettes? What about those cigarettes?
It ain't a fossil fuel.
What about those? What about
that's just a surface topic?
What about my cigarettes?
Issues.
Well, I mean,
that's a choice.
Curious how that plays into it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, but about the cigarettes, it's a choice. There's a label on here that says that they're not good for me, and I make that choice on my own. But see, now on my genetically modified foods, there's no label that says that these are bad for me, and they feed it to me without my knowing. That's the problem.
There's on the nutrition label that tells you it's bad for you.
It's about choice. And it's not.
I thought that GMOs are labeled.
That's not true. They tell you aspartame is natural and good for you as well.
Bro, I don't eat shit I can't pronounce. I'll tell you that.
Next motherfucker who mutes me is going to be an impure ass mute war up in this bitch. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not fucking with you.
Fight. Listen, guys. No fighting now. Going back to our topic. First one off the topic, we're going to have to ask them to lead the panel. We're going back to the topic. We're going to stay on the topic. We're not going to dive too deep into saying why. We're going to go the destruction of Americans' families is
I don't
in the workplace now.
That's why I know that's a topic that everybody talks about and nobody does nothing about, and you can just spin your wheels on it all day long and you won't fix a fucking thing.
And why is that?
Because
you mean cigarettes?
It's the same thing. You can talk about how a bunch of men sitting on a panel talking about what women should be doing. But that ain't gonna change a thing.
Well, one of the things we even said though, it doesn't matter that it's the woman nor the man. I'm thinking actually, as long as one person
is the fucking shallow viewers, you know what I mean? The people, the masses. You got to understand. I'm not trying to insult the viewers, but not your viewers or anybody's particular viewers. But we all can agree that the majority of people are just not all the way up there, right? If we all can agree on that, why is democracy so fucking awesome for us? Why do we want that? Because you got a bunch of lame heads voting. We all agree that the majority is stupid, but democracy is the way to go. It's really supposed to be a republic.
Who thought up the topic?
Right. Can we go back to the topic, please?
Well, let's pose the question: why is a panel of mostly men talking about women's place in the workforce? Are we talking about how it affects us, or are we trying to give the woman's perspective?
No,
just to be clear,
I want to hear from a woman about it.
All right, let's hear from the women. I'm muting out.
Right. Go ahead, Tony. You first.
Can you guys hear me okay? I know I usually have a struggle mic.
No, we can.
Yeah, you're good, Tony.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hey.
Okay. No, I don't think it's a shallow topic to have a lot of men discussing family. Families typically consist of a man and a woman, so to have a bunch of men who have families speaking on the topic, I think, is a wonderful thing. It's not a shallow.
I didn't call it a shallow topic. You're blending, things that I'm saying together to make a false point. I never called it a shallow topic.
Don't worry about it now. Just go ahead, Tony, with your point.
I'm not the enemy here. Trust me. You guys get to know me before you decide
right,
to pick
go
you.
ahead.
Well, she's not talking to you either, bro.
I'm not attacking you. I'm merely
She's
stating
addressing it as if it was said that it's a shallow topic, which was me, the last person talking about it.
That was somebody in the chat room, MG.
Well,
that's
I don't
that's
want.
Relax.
Yeah.
In the chat room.
I'm not arguing with you. What's your name, sir? With the beanie?
Grim.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm very non-confrontational. I'm just giving you my opinion, sir.
All right, go ahead, Tony.
I was just thinking that you were putting words in my mouth. I didn't want to be demonized. That's all.
No, I'm not demonized. I apologize.
Shallow topic at all.
I apologize. I misunderstood.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Tony. Now, what's your aspect on the topic tonight with women in the workplace and all like that?
Well, I grew up in a house where my mom was the primary breadwinner, and I grew up with my stepfather. My father wasn't really involved in my life. I know him. Well, I knew him, but he wasn't a big part of my growing up. But my mother and stepfather both worked, but my stepfather worked less, and my mother was the primary breadwinner, I guess. But my stepfather was the primary caregiver. And for us, it worked out great because he cooked, he took care of us, he was a wonderful influence on us, and it worked out great for us. People have different families. I have a friend who, her parents own a business, so they went to work together every day. And it was their business, so they were able to still, schedule their children into their daily lives instead of having someone else take care of them. Hold on, I have to help my son get his bicycle. You got it, babe? Where's your helmet? Get your helmet first. Don't ride it without your helmet. Pardon me. So, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I'm all for women in the workplace, as long as there's someone at home to take care of the kids. I think the children do suffer if they're left with strangers constantly. I know it's hard. It's not something that is not avoidable for every family. But if you can do it, I think it's better to have a two-parent home where if they're both working, they do it together. And if the mom does stay home, that's great too. If you can do it, more power to you. That's awesome.
I agree with that. I think there's pressure from the feminist community to make the woman feel like going to work is the only choice that she has, and that she would be lesser if she was a mom. And I see a lot of moms get mad about that shit.
Yeah.
I see a lot of moms get mad about that shit. Who got muted that time?
Tony.
Anyway, it wasn't me. No, I'm good. No,
but
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like she said, it's okay either one way or another. There's no pressure on any whatever helps the family, whatever helps the kids get more attention from the family. That's the best. Whatever that is. We end up in this struggle where we're getting these long work hours and the short pay and the money out and then always owed, and we can't see our kids as much as we should be able to. And that really affects the kids, and not having the state raise your kids by having longer school hours and all this kind of shit. It just goes further and further, and it detaches the connection between what you're going to learn from your parents as to what you feel is important to you. As you end up feeling like things that you learn from the Joneses in school are more important. So that disconnected life, that's what they're striving for, because that makes better citizens. You know what I'm saying? That makes better citizens. When I say slaves, I mean subservient.
Right.
When I say citizens, I mean slaves.
I know what you mean.
Because when you take the family value out, like you know what I'm saying, right? You end up with
I understand what you're saying.
Single mom type.
I believe that in a way. We've gotten away from the traditional family, and we've allowed media to raise our kids. Also, too, the kids have too much. They have a lot of access to technology. So the problem is with the technology that allows them to get have more friends, and then they get more ideas from other kids, which, kids are young, they're dumb, they spread bad ideas. And then two, you have a mother that's tired from coming home from work, you got a father that's tired So some of the time that should be devoted to the children is not devoted to them, and that opens up more lines for them to get into trouble, you know?
Yep.
You know how many times I've heard people joke about plopping their kids in front of the automatic babysitter?
That's not a joke.
Huh?
They're just trying to make sure it's okay with you. See, they're not joking. That's like crankheads, right? They try to figure out if you're a crankhead or not, and they'll start talking like, oh yeah, like it's probably about that, you know, that crank, your crank or whatever, and try to see your reaction to it. Because, you know, if people want to feel, you know, justified in their actions, I think that's a lot of the reason why you hear them joking like that, because
So basically, they're looking for your
they're
approval.
guilty of it, but they ain't even joking. They really do it.
I mean, I think we definitely need. I would definitely got to do something about the family structure. I do think the family has broken down through the years with having the mother out of the house. I mean, it's just obvious.
Right.
The
I think,
question is, what do we do about it, or can we do anything about it?
I think there's almost like a certain genetic, you know, responsibility in the first place that we're ignoring because of our intellectualness.
right.
And that's like, women have boobies because they feed the babies. So they have the hip the babies sit on, you know what I mean, to get fed. We don't have either one of those things. I mean, sure, we're supposed to spend time with the child, but we're not doing those things with the child. There's a different thing for us. I mean, we genetically are built differently, at least until BPA came around, that clear plastic that was that's in all the clear that chemical endocrine disruptor that's in all the clear plastic and clear can lining. Excuse me, I'm fucking stumbling all over myself. But have you guys heard of bisphenol A?
Yeah, but okay, so I can understand.
That means you haven't.
That.
Hold on a second, Drew. Bisphenol A is a powerful endocrine disruptor that the chemicals are in all your all your soup cans, all of them. They're in all your clear plastics, and what it does is it switches your hormones over to make the other hormone. So instead of like testosterone, you're making estrogen. Instead of estrogen, you make testosterone, depending on wherever you were. Now, if you were in that 4 months of development in the womb, where your brain sexuality is the most vulnerable and can be altered, like in the frogs, when they change the sex in the frogs in the experiment with the BPA, it changes your sex in your head. So you might be born with the organs of a male, but you have this brain of a female, and you don't know why. And then you think you're proud of it because it's natural. And so you have this gay pride shit, and it's all part of that thing to trap that idea away from you finding out who the culprits are, who's making us fucked up, who's fucking up, feminizing the males, who's, you know, you see the females are all, rah, and the males are all, and it's all backwards now. It's fucking ridiculous. So, you know, just that's what I'm paying attention to, that kind of shit. You know, and it doesn't just happen in the black community. I mean, have you guys ever seen like Mick Jagger?
Right. I see your point of views and all that. You know, I definitely agree that it could be something that we're experiencing because it's just a sudden influx of people with a different way of thinking, and I do believe it could be just something they've been exposed to. But like I said, I'm gonna go back to our topic when we say this is with the women being taken out of the home, and I'm like I said, it doesn't even have. We do say women in our topic, but technically one parent definitely needs to be able to spend more time with the children, because then it's like we allow them to raise each other from TV, media. They're around, they're interconnected, so they can talk to other children and pick up other bad habits from other parents that aren't around because they don't have enough time to spend with their kids either. And so it may not be always just the women, but maybe we just need to really spend more time with our children.
You're right. I mean,
granted.
Yeah, it can't be either or parent.
Right.
But you know, I'm just one of those traditional people because you get mom back at home and kids at home, they learn so much, and then you can get them on better nutrition because now you don't have to live this fast food life. Now you can better give your kids better nutrition. You can get back into raising your own foods. all that stuff comes when you have a parent at home. All those things you can do. You can spend that time and understand your child and understand if your child is is angry or going through a depression. It's so hard for us now to even look at that stuff because as parents, we're always on the go, and a lot of these kids are getting raised by grandma or the boob tube or Sesame Street or what the hell ever. We got to get our parents back in the home.
But okay, here's a question like that. With the cost of living and all that, how the hell do we do that too? Because that's created another problem with the cost of everything going up.
Now that brings me back to understanding why oil is not a fossil fuel. Now you understand why I was talking about that. Because if you knew that, you'd know you wouldn't have to pay for that shit like that. We would stand up and say, hey, listen, the prices of oil are fucking ridiculous. That way, we understand that it's not a fossil fuel and that it isn't going to run out. Peak oil is a lie. That Rockefeller went down to the Geneva Convention and said that because it has hydrogen, oxygen, and what else? What was it? Fucking whatever. I can't even think right this second. That it's a fucking organic material and it's not carbon. Excuse me. And we realize now that that's electrolysis. We can create through electrolysis, simple like excavation, or what's it called, oxidation and reduction, right? That we can actually watch these elements combine to create more compound molecules, and then regasify, be electrocuted, and disconnect and combine and make even more complex molecules until we even have the hydrocarbons that we're talking about for oil, and complex hydrocarbons, even amino acids, things like that, just from silicates and different types of metals and stuff.
I mean, like I mentioned this last night. You got a high cost of living. The only way you can bring that down is you have to take the money out of the market, because if you can't buy these products that they're trying to sell you, then they have to bring the market price down.
Okay. Okay. So basically, you're trying to say we need to go on a saving binge where we just stop buying the shit.
Absolutely.
Or we need to get out in the streets and let them know that we know oil is not a fossil fuel and that they can't sell it to us for such a high price. It's like water, man.
Okay.
It's that cheap. Laugh at me all you want, but that's the answer.
Right. But we're not going to do one thing. We're going to say
this will go along with it, though. Think about it.
You're blacking out.
You're breaking up, or is it me?
No, he's blanking. Blanking out.
I can't hear you. Hello? Can you guys hear me at least?
Yeah, we hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
We just can't hear.
Right now. But yeah, I totally agree that basically matter of fact that's one thing too we need to start. We stop buying all this shit, then maybe we could stop buying the shit. We gotta get away from this keeping up with the Jones material. Then one of the parents actually could, whoever makes the least, could stay home, raise the kids. The kids will be we may suffer in our lifetime, but the children will be smarter and they'll be more productive in their life, which even if they would probably even be productive enough to make it towards the end of your life, they can help you out. You wouldn't be sitting there, at 80 years old and you can't get your cancer medication.
So vote with
from
your
all
dollar.
the chemicals in your can.
Right, exactly. Anticipating that we're all gonna have cancer because look at the way it's going, right?
Well,
I'm not. People our age didn't have to think.
When it comes to the cancer thing, I'm not gonna lie. It seems like everybody has cancer. Where back in the day, you never heard of any, like, you would hear of a friend with somebody having cancer, right? Where technically, I can name 7 people in my immediate, friends and like that
8
have cancer or dying from cancer.
8 now.
My grandmother, my mother's husband, the guy that I work for, his wife, my son's grandmother. You know what I mean? It's like every time you look up, it's like, damn, everybody has damn cancer. So I can totally agree with you on that. But we're still going back to our topic. and it comes to
If you have
take
cancer,
a parent
do what
out
I
of
do.
the home.
That's all I need to say right there. Read that. If you got cancer, figure that out. Do that. This kills your tumors.
Mm-hmm.
Or
All right.
pancreas
So,
cancer.
does
Sure.
anybody want to make a comment on the topic? I see how you doing, Samantha. I see you've come in. Would you like to make a comment?
Hey, how's it going, Andre?
How are you?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm all right, but yeah, we've been straying from the topic, MJ. We're gonna have to stay on the topic. I will admit, this is what we'll do. We will
You're the
do
one
a
brought it to it. You see,
no.
now
Listen,
you
we will do a
you're the one
show. No, listen, exactly on that at a later time today or either this week. We'll start that show. That'll be the main topic of a show. 'Cause I will admit, people can learn some stuff from you, or learn a different point of view. But just do it. Make sure we'll set up a day and we'll actually do a show on that. Because I will admit, I've looked into some of the research that you've given me, and I've seen a couple things here or there that it does make you think. So going back to that, your turn, Samantha.
I definitely think that women being removed from the home, so to speak, has been a detriment to the traditional family. Traditionally, we know that the moms stay home and raise the kids, and dad goes to work. And so I did hear somebody say something about interchanging that role, and I don't think there's an issue with that either. I think that just like if you own a company, no one cares about your business more than you do.
Okay.
Like, you may have stellar employees, but they're not going to care about your business as much as you do. So if we look at that in terms of the home, no one's business as you do. So it doesn't mean you're not going to a great daycare, or I know this lady down the road. It's not possible for them to care as much about your kids as you do.
Right.
So, and I just think that the structure, like the kids having that structure with one of the parents in the home all the time, I just think it's incredibly important. I think that having one of the parents, or it just helps to make the kids feel more rooted at home, and that you can instill in them your beliefs, and you can place the boundaries and what they're watching on television, or what they're eating, who they're talking to, the information they're taking in, because someone else's boundaries or beliefs are not going to be the same as yours.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I really think there's no replacement for having one of the two parents in the home. And I think that we can see that when mothers started leaving the homes more, that our children started exhibiting all these different behaviors. And I just really think that a lot of that is contributed to the kids, the mother not being there. And I really feel bad that we're at a point now where people just they're not able to stay home because of finances. I feel really bad about that, because I think we've come so far now that it's really hard to turn back. So I think we can see with all these kids who spend hours on the television, hours on video games, walking around uptown, and just all of this time they're spending doing futile things. I think there's value in the mother being home and the kids having chores and the kids working in the garden, or all of these things that taught them responsibility and kept them grounded at home. We just don't see that much anymore. So these kids are like, they don't even know, a lot of the kids don't really know how to interact and with others. They didn't grow up playing with the kids next door, or running around outside at night, or using their imagination even.
But see, that's true. Think about it though. You got more parents that, like I said, the kids are getting more information from other kids, let alone more from their parents. So that maybe takes them down a different road, you know, because think about it, even back then, say we had one of the parents in the home that stayed at home and took care of the kids. Then you have like all their friends, they have a parent that stays at home and takes the kid. So that further goes back to the village to raise a child, because you have all these adults instilling influences into the kids instead of the television.
I completely agree with that.
And
I
of
feel
course,
like, you know, it was a big deal when kids would go to school and one kid would learn something and you get on the school bus and somebody shared something with you that you thought was like a really big deal. That's way different than your kid having unlimited access to the internet nowadays.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, there are certain things that are just natural when you grow up. You learn about, you know, there was no Santa Claus. You're not learning about look what adults do on the internet kind of stuff, you know.
Go ahead, April. You have anything you want to add?
Well, what I was going to say is she had mentioned school, and it made me remember back in, you know, Patrick, when we were pushing the stone cars and riding brontosauruses. When I was in school, we had the kids go to work with the parent day, you know. I don't know if they still do that. And
No, not as much. Hell no.
Yeah, in some places they do it here and there, but I know sometimes too they've had where the parents actually go to school with the kid day.
well, the teachers stressed and put emphasis on the fact that you can't stay at home with your parent. If they're a stay-at-home parent, that's not a real job. And I think that is one of the things that has contributed to the mindset that everybody has to work.
That's the point I was making. That's exactly right. It's like you're getting pushed, you know, to separate the family unit.
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
I notice when we have discussions about the way things have changed, people always want to talk about, like, what should we do to go back to, or what we used to have, instead of realizing that our society, not even of the world has evolved, but our society has evolved faster than the rest of the world. America has changed. America is a baby. It's a baby. And people don't realize that we've evolved so much in the last 120 years that I think they have a hard time believing that maybe we need to try something different instead of going the traditional way. Like, I don't think it's because something changed, it ruins something. I think people are stuck in a mindset because they saw their parents' generations and their grandparents' generations do something, but they fail to realize we can't do it that way. You can't do it that way. Like, there's a reason why farmers now drive $500,000 tractors, you know, and have all this equipment and this and that, and granddaddy is sitting over there. See, back in my day, I had an ox, or I had a horse and a donkey, and they just pulled the plow through the field all day. You can't do it that way anymore. It has to evolve and it has to change. And I think people just didn't evolve the right way as far as the family unit goes. And people need to do it. Like, that's like, my man's talking about GMOs and stuff. And honestly, I did say something about that earlier when I was talking about people feeding their kids. People make up excuses and then start poisoning their kids instead of meal prepping on Sunday and making sure the kids are healthy with fresh herbs and fruits and vegetables and whatnot for the week. See what I'm saying? I think people, they panic and they go the wrong direction instead of going in this progressive direction.
Never thought about it. Never thought about it that way. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I guess times have changing. You know, times have changed, so we have to, you know, adapt and make an adjustment now.
So, Patrick? Was it Patrick who just talked?
That's Patrick.
Yeah, Pat.
Patrick, I'm sorry, but I missed part of what you said when you were talking about the grandpa using the plow. What was the gist of that? I'm sorry.
Oh, people seem to always want to go back to the way that things were. Like, some people think that, oh, it's like, if most grandpas would look at that person with the $500,000 tractor and be like, oh, you're lazy. I used to get up 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, and hook the horse up to the plow and do it the old way. That's how we did it. And they look at it as being a bad thing that we evolved and done something new, done something different that benefits the economy. And sometimes you have to do
family units, not plow, like farm.
But I just bridged that though. I was using that as an example though. I just bridged
I know, but
that.
I mean,
I was saying.
I mean, going back to the family unit isn't like going back to the oxen, though, dude. That's what you're comparing it
But
to.
what I'm saying is that how do you have a woman in the house all the time and a man out working, but yet cost of living has doubled or tripled what the
and
payout
still
is of these
maintain
jobs?
your
Because we
You can't
live
do
in
lifestyle.
it.
an
It's
illusion
scientifically
where,
impossible.
because we live in an illusion where things like oil are fucking, fossil fuels
No,
and artificial. I'm just
Well, I
telling you,
just
this
feel
is why you
like
ask a question. Why? Because the cost of transportation to deliver everything goes up because of oil. The cost of energy and the cost of living in the winter goes up. Gas because of oil. The cost of every single fucking thing are these artificially generated wars. There's all this kind of stuff that we rationalize are for oil. It's not for oil. So we're getting caught up in a lot of shit over this fake ass oil, and
I mean, I feel like you're correct. I feel like, and that was part of what I mentioned. I didn't say it in those words, NG, because I don't have all those thoughts. But I get what you're saying. I feel like right now we've come so far that it's impossible for both parent or for the woman to stay home. I mean, sometimes obviously people can work it out and it can happen. But now we're at a place in society where most likely both parents have to work. And as far as what Patrick said about making people feel bad for progress, I don't think we should have to feel bad for progress. But as I think MG mentioned something about the family unit. So when we had all of these families on the farm and they were all working together, I mean, obviously it was serving more than dual purposes. They were making a living and they were all spending time together. And so if we can somehow apply that to today, I mean, we do have more advanced technologies. We're not using the wringer washer anymore. We're not, carrying water in the house and all of those things where it still takes everybody working together. But if we can somehow apply that to today's household, I don't think it hurts to have a garden. And I don't think it hurts to make the kids go out and work in the garden. I think it's a definite advantage to teach kids how to grow, to still grow things. We're not still farming, and it might not seem like a big deal to a lot of people. But I just feel like it's extremely important to teach your kids things like that, like how to grow food, how to survive, basically. That's a huge thing on my list, is I want my kids to know how to survive. And when you are together and learning those things, you're spending time together and you're channeling their energy, and you're not letting them sit off by themselves while, when mom runs home, she throws the laundry in and she does this and that. Well, you need to grab those kids and teach them how to do all of those things. And those are things, I mean, you spend time together and you're teaching them things, how to get by and how to survive. I don't think that we're going to obviously all have farms and worry about, how we're going to afford a combine. But I do think that we can apply some of those values to today rather than just look at them like they're a thing of the past.
Go ahead, bro. You can say what you were going to say.
Next thing you can do from there is, like to add to what you're saying is, make little competitions or like personal best type grow competitions for your own, the pumpkins or whatever you're trying to grow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's different ways to get the younger children involved in that.
I absolutely agree. I think there's so much value in that. I mean, even teaching, like, I know we don't have to can green beans. I know you can go get a 50-cent can of green beans, and it might not make sense to go buy a bushel of green beans and learn how to can them, but there's more than one value to learning and doing those things together.
And Miss KP,
brought up a good point. Look at that. Parents don't actually have to work if they wait until they're financially stable to have children. That's a good thing too.
Yeah, well, if my parents did that, I wouldn't be born, and half of you on the panel probably wouldn't be born.
Oh, I was going to mention that earlier. I was going to mention Planned Parenthood.
Sorry.
Yeah, Planned Parenting is a big part of the issue in America.
Abortion capitalist.
Too far gone.
Planned Parenthood.
You think that we're too far gone, and there's no way
Planned Parenthood only does
that a
abortion.
parent can stop working at the time. I think we can, because think about it. We just have to just go back to an old-fashioned word called boycott. If you
I
stay,
don't think I don't think we're too far gone. I think that, but I do think that a lot of people do have to work. I think in a lot of families they do. I also think that if we don't place so much value on things that are not necessary, I mean, a minimalist is not going to have 5 cars and I don't know, name brand clothes, and they don't have to have all the things to keep up with the neighbors. And I mean, you can limit those kinds of things to make the chances of staying home greater or easier.
what I'm saying is just think about it. If one parent just said today, "Fuck it, I'm quitting," and you do that across the board, what would happen to your housing market? It would be the same thing that happened
But
in
I
the
was
housing market
saying,
crash. Everything will go straight down. There's no money to exploit anymore.
Okay, but okay, if one of us quit working,
I understand
to
the
adapt,
point, the
bro.
concept. That it works on a very local level, though, because the rulers, they print money out of thin air. So it's not really money that they're after. They have us after money.
Right, so if we can
About
change
that.
our mindset to stop chasing that piece of cotton,
Exactly. That's the
then
point.
that's what I'm saying. If we
I
take-
That's
will
where the
co-sign
steer
that. I
to me.
agree. They have us chasing these things that are completely meaningless, and in the meantime, we're losing all these things
Yeah.
that mean everything.
Because I'm not gonna go and buy, another different big giant flat screen TV because
and
they both
that's why I
robbed
keep saying,
Sierra Leone of the cobalt and chopped those little kids' hands off and shit. You know what I mean over there. And so I'm not fucking
now
gonna get it
check
from
it.
either one of them. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I'm not
Right.
gonna buy her a
Absolutely.
big diamond,
That's what I'm saying is
a
this:
big diamond because those little
once
kids in
they
Sierra
started,
Leone.
once they started the woman going into the workplace, what do these companies start doing? They start selling you this bullshit that you need to have this.
Yep,
And so guess what? Now you
they
got
show
more.
you how
Now you
women
got more
really want.
cotton coming in the house, and you just like, oh, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. If you
Yeah.
don't have it to spend, then a company can't give you this bullshit dream because it's not.
Perfect example. That Axe commercials where you spray this stupid ass cologne on you, and then all of a sudden all these women want you, right? What's the first thing you little high school kids go out and think? Man, I need me some Axe. Like that has
I
anything to do
completely
with
agree, and the same can be said for buying a $250 purse. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous to make you think that you need these things, and all the focus is going on all these things
Having a
that do not
5-bedroom
matter.
home, there's only 3 people
But
in
it
the
brings
house.
us right back to how the establishment, right, can actually change the mindset of a whole population of people by showing a particular situation of, because humans are conformist. I mean, we like to adapt and we change and we evolve and we move into different types of behaviors as we grow older or younger, whatever.
We're easily persuaded.
Right.
We all have a
And so
choice, though. We all have a choice. And
we
the
all know
decisions
the truth. We all know we have a choice, and we all that and this, but we're still all susceptible to the trickery when it comes down to it, because we all hold something up higher, or we all do something in some way or another that allows us to be, impressionable towards these type of things in one way or another. Even the people who are
what
very
was
good
that,
at
Tony?
not doing it, it's like if you really like someone, you start to emulate the person. Like if that's why they say, "Oh, you talk black," or like, "What is talking black?" I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
you know what
I
I'm saying?
think
Because I
That's a whole
emulate
different
people who I
conversation
like,
right there. We could spend some time on that one another
right?
night.
Because that was
Yeah.
not. I know that was what is the ignorant way to say that, but I just wanted to get the point
No,
across.
I know. I'm making light of that. Could really be a topic.
You know what I mean?
Um,
Because you end up
we all have
emulating what you appreciate and who you like and things like that.
we
And
all have
so
choices, and parents are in charge of their children. The government, the
thank you. Somebody
establishment
said
is
it.
not in
it's
charge
part
of
of living and
how we parent. Our environment can influence our decisions, but ultimately, it is the parent who makes the decisions, and it is
Thank
the
you.
parents who are in charge of that. You cannot blame an
Cosign.
establishment or somebody else for the choices that parents make. If people
no,
are not
exactly. Yeah, and in this case,
I
I'm
got a
actually
question
talking
for you.
about it's mostly the parents that are being affected by a lot of this stuff because we were all affected first. MTV culture didn't just hit our kids, it hit us.
Right.
Or Nintendo didn't just hit our kids, it hit us. You know,
But
we were here first.
better, and we're old enough to make our own decisions. We
Right.
cannot blame
But the
some-
problem is
Why are we making bad decisions then?
there's
Why-
only a select. Look how many people are actually online trying to have these kinds of conversations. Not very many, compared to the 300 million that are here on the fucking country. And this, I'm only talking about our country, right? We don't have that many people. We have people from other countries, and we still don't have enough people that should be the right amount of people in our own country, you know, that are actually trying to sharpen their minds about these types of situations and points of, you know, things to think about, bettering lives, helping the community, all the stuff that we're all guilty of trying to do. You know?
Well, I think you're right. I think that when people see all these things and they're easily persuaded that after a while they adapt that to what is normal. So if I'm living in a house and I don't have the same things the neighbor has, then I'm living some kind of substandard existence, which is ridiculous.
That's why they call it programming on television, because you watch it so much, it programs you into thinking that this is how you're supposed to behave, whatever reactionary bullshit you're watching on TV. You know,
That sounds like grumpy old man talk.
Turn off the TV.
am I getting
Right.
I say that's grumpy
And
old
that brings
man
me to
talk, bro.
That's right. Well, there's some value in that grumpy old man talk, Damon.
I'm
I'm
gonna
an
say
old
brings
this.
me
man
to my
too, but I'm
point. I
not
think-
willing. I'm not willing to give in. I'm not willing to
MG,
give in.
MG just said some powerful shit though.
No. I know.
No,
but I
no, no.
think
What I'm
that
saying is, he
something-
said it's 300 billion people.
300 million
people.
in America
Okay,
only.
check this out. Right now, it's about 40 to 50 of us sitting here having this conversation.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I'm saying.
Okay, I want to hear Damon's point he was making.
Right.
I think that what happens, it's going back to what Patrick said earlier, like change gonna come, y'all. You can sit back and say, let's go back to the good old days, but I'd like to think that today is a good day and tomorrow gonna be a better day. And you know, these technologies that y'all are saying are corrupting the kids ain't no different when television came out, you know, back in the 50s, or radio, you know, we can relate it to any kind of media where old people thought that it was corrupting the young people. The deal is that don't none of y'all want to say, but I can take the phone away from my kid, or I can disconnect the internet, or
you can't
I
take
can
the ELF
ultimately
waves out of his head. You can't take
know
the
what?
microwaves from the cell phone tower out of his head
because
that's
you're
not a
trying
choice
to
anymore.
you're asking 300
Hey, Dre,
million
pass
people.
controls too, man.
Real quick, you're asking 300 million people to talk about something that just a lot, like most people, like 99% of those people don't
We
know
ain't
what
even
you're
got
talking
1%
about.
of them.
But listen, bro,
That's what I'm asking for. 1%
but
of
listen,
300
Hold on,
million.
buddy. Hold on.
Hey, listen,
Wait a
bro.
minute.
Listen to
One
what
at a
I'm
time,
saying.
guys.
Hey, you want to get a message to 300 million people, right? Okay, but 300 million people got cell phones. You know what I'm saying? They're not. They have them. They have them they made the personal choice to have them in the possessions. And so you go out there and tell them about the EF waves that are giving them cancer. Go ahead. But the
But
thing
nobody
is
told
that
You know what,
but
Damon?
then-
I
but
think
then
that you're making a good point.
but I haven't
No one
finished
told
it, though.
people
I
about
haven't
these
finished
Yes,
it
you
yet.
have
before.
said it. You have said
I
something.
haven't. I haven't finished because the thing is that see what personal
Sorry, brother.
choices they make with that knowledge.
You're
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
I know it's defeating. It's like, you know, depressing when you think about it that way. But the way I think about it is, look, out of how many of those people, some of them are going to listen to me. If I can get 1% of them to listen to me, then at least I'm helping 1% of 300 million, which would be 300,000 people.
Okay, Damon, I don't think that what you said was a whole lot different than what we said, because you're acknowledging that, yes, we have all of these technologies, but you're also implying that we can place boundaries on the technology that our children get hold of. So I don't think that that's that far off. I mean, we're not denying that the technology's there, and we're not going to deny that there's some value to it. But it's the whole point of being there in the home as parents to place boundaries on some of the technologies, and to not let every single thing that the kid takes in is about a technology, or you know what I'm saying? It's not all about that. We place boundaries on that, so they have to go out and do some hands-on things and things with the family. So I don't think
Well,
we're not far off on what we were saying.
I think it's an accessibility issue. Like, yes, they have access to these technologies and this information, and yes, everybody has a complaint about you see people at a restaurant sitting on their phone while they're eating dinner. I understand these things, but I'm saying the phone is not going away. The technology, and there's a new technology coming. It's just that we have to have the self-control to tell our kids don't
Bingo.
be consumed by that technology. That's what I'm
But
saying.
Absolutely.
think about it.
Yeah.
Here's the question: if
You
the
can't
parents
tell
are
your kid
always
not to.
working,
Hold on.
how is
One
it going to
thing.
tell the kids to not be consumed? Because basically, we've taken them too much of the parents' time away to where now the phones and the TV and the internet can influence them highly.
Hold
I
on.
mean,
Let me
But
say something real
Dre,
quick. This
Dre,
5G that you're talking about, if that's what you're talking about, that's coming out. This is such a high frequency microwave band that it actually alters the DNA in the animals and test animals. We've already seen the negative results on this, and that
I
they're going to
I
force
was
it on
just
us
being
anyway.
I was being hypothetical. I don't keep up
I
with
know,
new
but then
shit coming out.
there's no way we can stop that, and it's not like the kids get to even use it. Like,
That's exactly. There's no way we can stop it. That's why we have to control the use of it with our children.
no, what I'm saying is they're saying that they need a higher where there won't be a square inch on the globe that doesn't get this Wi-Fi, which means they'll be pushing the signal at such a high frequency that it's actually altering the DNA of the animals and people.
We get what you're saying, bro.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
lot of shit that can kill and hurt you in this world. That's just something I'm telling you right now, bro. There's just some things you're gonna have to deal with. You're just gonna have to deal with it, bro,
No,
and live
see,
your
no,
life the best
that's not.
you can live.
If
What
we
we were
if we
talking
just got
about
there and
is
dealt with
right,
Agent Orange,
I'm
right?
not
Then
talking
we'd
about
be
everything. I'm not saying let them drop
dealing with
nerve
this.
gas on your head. I'm not
right,
saying that, bro. Just listen. Just listen.
right.
Just
We just
listen.
trying to stay on topic because if we go too far,
Right.
right, we go too
What I
far,
was saying,
we can't
what I'm
understand.
saying is about the
We're on
parenting
topic.
and about the
I
parenting
have
and
enough faith in the people who are watching that they understand what we're talking about.
the people, the parenting and whatnot. It comes to a point where people have to stop making excuses and stop being lazy. Like there's enough. Like you watch people around you for a week, parents for a week.
Those are
Notice the
things I
stuff that they
agree
do.
with, though. I mean, you're preaching to the choir about that. Yeah, we agree with that.
But
I'm
things
talking
that
about
people
the
Can we
things
can
that,
we
throughout the week.
finish? Let
Right,
Patrick finish just because he lets you finish your statement.
right. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was actually
But things
I
that
thought
people
I was
do.
talking when when I got interrupted by Patrick just now. I don't know if we're in the same
I didn't
reality.
interrupt you. Well, finish what you gotta
I,
say, bro. I'll finish after you. I don't argue. Just finish what you gotta say. Go ahead.
Okay, I was talking about that we can't stop the ELF waves and the microwaves from doing this. We don't have a choice. This isn't something you can choose. Like if you're a cell phone, if you bought a cell phone, then you get what you get. But even if you didn't buy a cell phone, you're still being hit with these waves. And there's no fucking natural place on Earth left, and that's not fair, man.
Okay, I understand, but we're gonna go back to our
I know,
topic.
and that's what I mean, though. You know what I mean by things that people just aren't going to be focusing on. And like that's all. We just have to accept that they're going to fuck the whole Earth.
That's
MG,
another.
when
They're
you
going to do
say,
that.
do you know?
That's
Are you
another show in
literally
its
asking us if we
entirety.
understand you, or
No, I'm
do we know
saying
what
I'm
you
just trying to
mean?
bring up some new information about to the viewers. Not so much. See, I'm not always talking at the panel. When I start looking into the camera and shit, usually it's sort out to the viewers and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. But we're
The
gonna
panel,
talk
when
about.
I'm talking to the
MJ,
panel, just so you know, I usually end up looking at the panel. I'll be
right,
looking down here at
right.
you
But
guys.
MJ, we talk about that on another show. We're gonna focus on our topic. We've only got a little bit of time left before I have to end this show, so we're gonna focus on our
Oh, okay. The topic
topic.
went fluid for a minute, so we were just riding along. I thought, I don't want to eat up all the
I was
airtime.
speaking on the
We got a
topic.
topic.
I like talking.
We got a topic. But we
I was
know.
just speaking on the
I'm
topic.
All
enjoying
right,
company. It might seem like
what are you saying?
arguing to you guys or whatever, but it's
Hey,
excitement
we
for
know
me,
you're
man.
not arguing. We know you're not. We know you're
Yeah,
not
I'm just
arguing.
excited to talk, man. Because there are
Back.
other people who are interested in these type of things. So.
All right, MJ, give us a minute. Go ahead, Patrick.
All I was saying was, I think parents need to stop with the excuses of not having time. Like, there's some parents who work 12, 16 hours a day. I understand that completely. But especially if you're in a two-parent home, that's two brains. That's two brains that you can put together and develop a plan of meals, of education, of extracurricular activities, study time. Like, people don't do any of that anymore. There's no constructiveness inside the home, whether it's single parent or not, to where you can just write down on a piece of paper. Like I remember when our fridge, like the piece of paper on Saturdays, you did this, boom, boom, boom. At 6 o'clock, your homework need to be finished. There's like none of that anymore, and that doesn't come from parents actually being home every day. It doesn't come from parents being home every day. It just comes from structure as far as like when you do have that time, talk to them. Or if you don't have that time, quote unquote, which I feel like is the sorriest excuse in the world, Dre. For somebody to say they don't have time to be a parent. You make time to be a parent. When you were having sex, that should have been in your head. Like, damn, I got to sacrifice time to be a parent for the next 18, 21 years. That should already be in your head.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna say I gotta disagree with you on that because you say like it's hard to be a parent, and it's been times where I mean literally it's been times where I've had to work 15, 16, even 18, 19 hours to bring home money to make sure that hey, it's like I've had to work at different times and then like perfect example, say I'm gonna go over here to work on this house here, and
but
then
that ain't the norm, Dre.
Most
of these parents who say they don't have time to feed their kids not working 19 hours, Dre. They're not. Middle America is not working 19 hours.
Yeah, somebody's watching all these TV shows.
Right.
I agree. I think there's so much value in, like when you say, when you were just talking, Patrick, it reminded me of, we heard somebody talking the other day and they were saying when people ride in the cars, the kids and everybody are on their phones. And what happened to the days when you'd be cruising down the road and the radio was on and you'd all be singing to whatever was on the radio? Or, I mean, all those things when you look back and say, hey, remember when we did this? Remember when we did that? You don't want your kids to grow up and be like, remember when we were all, face down in the computer?
Yeah, no human
there has to be
like,
boundaries,
How many families their kids actually go home for dinner to sit with their mom and dad at the dinner table for dinner? How many
kids? Well, even if you're going to watch a television program, what about what? How many of you can tell me what came on Friday nights at 8 o'clock at your house and your whole family sat down and watched it?
Yeah, TV was off when we ate dinner.
In my house,
that's
and a bunch of other neighborhood kids too getting a regular dinner at my house. Well, their parents are, at work and shit. And I would help take their kids to school and shit. Because we all help support each other in the community. If you're lucky. I mean, it's not like that where I am now. Not in this community.
Yeah, I mean, that's real hard because I mean, basically, the parents don't spend any time with the kids. Like I know when me and my son do our one-on-one time, a lot of time too, I have to take him to work, and that's when we sit there and talk. I'm teaching him something, and we have our little talks, especially when we go on our little walks, and we just walk and talk, That way you can get a feel for what's on their mind, how they're thinking. But instead of just being one of the parents that just sit the kid down in front of the TV and then let the TV program them. And that's why I believe.
If the kids, the other kids' parents, you know what I mean, and you get time, you get a chance to talk good about their parents to them, let them get a feel about, I mean, if you know good about their parents.
But this is a problem too when it comes to like the other kids' parents, because most of the times it's this: if you say you're in a lower, you live in a lower part of time, so basically, and say we're just talking about couples here where there is a man and a woman in a home, because that's not always the case. But say you have, all complete families, and you got both parents working. Well, this person, he has both parents working. That person right here is your kid's friend. His parents are working. That still contributes because the TV is still teaching all those kids. Contributes to the problem. Well,
I guess it's important to think about what you want your kids to, how you want your kids to turn out for sure, and how much you want to influence your kids rather than other things influencing your children. You can't completely protect them from outside influences. And then just to keep in mind, when your kid is older and looks back, what do you want them to remember? They definitely remember things that maybe you don't even realize that were instilled in them. When our daughter starts playing music, starts playing some music, and she comes out with some stuff that we used to play, and it's just like, wow, she really, that really meant something to her. Or when you hear her talk about other people, and she hears a philosophy that came straight from home, it's like, wow, she really did. That did mean something to her. She took that with her, And I think it's important to remember what you want your kids taking away from your home.
Exactly. Seeing your structure helps with structure, forming. That's why they call it role
We
models.
solved this shit. Next subject, Dre. We solved this shit.
We solved it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Keep that. We go ahead and we'll go through the panel, give the final thought, and I'll go ahead and we'll roll over to the next show at 10:30. So, anything you want to say? Anybody want to go first on the final thought?
Of course.
MG, you go first, man.
I'm just joking. That's not true.
No
Of course.
oil,
Man. What are we talking
no
about?
oil, no GMOs. Talk about family only.
Well, it's definitely good that there are at least 40 people out of 300 million in the U.S. I don't even know if we're all from the U.S. I'm only assuming at this point that are actually trying to, sharpen some of this steel up here about these issues that we're discussing tonight. And I'm glad to be a part of that conversation with you guys. And, of course, we've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things to know. But thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Oh,
And the
thank
family
you.
unit doesn't need to be separated in any kind of different kind of way. You know what I mean? If the most to the kid, whatever's best, for everyone, because you need to ease the suffering on all of us, and the only way to really, fix things for that next generation is like we've been saying. We got to spend time with the kids and make sure that they understand our values and that they can impress those values onto their friends and move along with it. Keep it up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to you, Damon.
All right. Yeah, this is a tough one because we kind of been all over the place and back. But just
Right.
to make it simple, I mean, I think that the role of both male and female in the household or in the workforce and a combination of the two has changed. I think it's important that both parents take responsibility in the rearing of the children, and I think that the allocation of what needs to be done is based on the relationship and the needs of the family. So I don't think there is any cookie cutter fix to this problem, but I think that everybody needs to be doing something to help raise their children and not rely on technology, your school, even that village that we've been told to rely on, because there may be some flaws in that village. Personally, I think. So I think that it's just important that parents be parents, and who's in the household, just somebody needs to be consistently in that person's life. So I can't say that there's a cookie cutter fix for everybody. And that's all I got. Thank you.
All right. We will go next to critical thinking. Since you just came in, give your final thought.
Oh, as far as women being the cause of the destruction of the family
No,
or something.
no, women in the workplace.
We've had that conversation countless times.
Right. But we can even say like this: it just basically.
But I like the way you
don't
think.
have a parent that's home. Because it doesn't even matter if it's women only. I mean, it could be you just need a parent at home.
Well, we all know that women are the best nurturers. The women are the first teachers. Women just do it the best when it comes to the children. They're the best at it.
I believe so too.
So far as a male being at the home, that's sometimes that's all right. Sometimes, but naturally, that's the position. I can't take. I mean, naturally, that's what they was born to do. They was born to make sure the family is taken care of, making sure the house is taken care of, the bills, everything. And we just we use our little muscles to work.
Right.
So that's my take on it. And as far as the women working, I mean, if it gets to that point, she has to work. If she got to work, we in a society now that everything is more expensive. So yeah, maybe sometimes it does take two, to get the bills paid off and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's still one person. It's still one man. Man represents woman and man. if you look at the real definition of it. So, it's still equal. I mean, they still one. They still a whole. But
Yeah,
that's my
just
that's
I'm
my
half. I'm half, and she's a half. So it makes a whole. At
yeah,
the end of the
exactly.
day. You know what I mean? I can feel whole within myself at times, but the overall unit, I'm still only half.
MG, that's some good math, bro. That's deep.
All right.
That's deep.
All right. We go to the next person. April, what about you?
I think that I've kind of made my point of view clear on it, that I, really do believe that there needs to be a parent, preferably a mother, in the home. And I do feel that the only way for the changes that need to be made in any society is for us to try and make those changes, whether it be with voting or protest or what have you. And if you don't try and make those changes for your children, and whatever your view is, if you think that women need to be out there and everybody needs to work and or whatever, and you don't try and impart those changes, your views and your values into your children and the future of the country, then all is lost.
All right. All right. Who we have left? Samantha, we can go to you.
I feel like we need to keep in mind that that your children, our children, are our own responsibility, and so I understand that that different families have to do different things to get by, and I think that's okay. Whether it's the husband or the wife that has to stay home, I think that I agree they both have to take an active role in teaching the kids, and I think it's important to place boundaries on the children from outside influences. I think it's important to instill tradition with the children, and I feel like I just feel like there's some importance in giving the children responsibilities in the home and everybody working together for common goals. And I just think through those things, it develops bonds and makes the children feel rooted. So when they move on, that they have something then to help guide them in raising their own children someday.
What about you, KP?
Just have to agree with submissive. And the only other thing I can say is we as men need to stand up and become men and get our women back in the damn house and be great fathers, be great leaders.
Okay, and we'll leave that to everyone.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Tony, I thought you were AFK. I'm sorry.
Tony.
Oh man, Tony's been here.
And
Man. So, regardless of the dynamic of your family, whether it's a two-parent home or one or both working, whatever it is, and things change, nothing stays the same. We all need to adapt and learn how to survive in different situations. But as far as parenting goes, be present, be aware, regardless of how the dynamic of your family structure changes. The parents are still going to be at the top of the structure, and they still need to be there and be aware and be the ones making the decisions. And yeah, that's about it.
All righty. And I want to take this time right here, because that's everyone, to thank you guys for watching Debating Woes. I'm your host, Judge Dre. Please click that like, share, subscribe, and definitely click the donate button down there, because that's what helps keep the show going. We're going to roll into our next show. I'll go ahead and put the link in the description box, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Seb.
Hi, everybody.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, KP. Bye, Andre. Bye, MZ. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
Take care, y'all.